Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the late runner. I was going to be the woke runner, but then I started to be the sleep runner. I do have a comment from Rax I wanted to share here. Rax says, Lore, if you're awake, I'd appreciate if you read this out loud, because even though we haven't reached the end of this run, thank you for this run. It has been well worth my $4 many times over. You're welcome, Rax. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward. We're going to be side questing today. Good, because I'm kind of blurred right now. I'm not up for fighting Odin. So let's get some side quests on. Actually wanted to double check that too in the document. I also wanted to clarify something because I realized I didn't, and I want to be clear about, what I mean, because I mentioned yesterday that this game feels like it sits around there with FF10, FF10-2, and FF12 for me. And I realized that that probably sounds like an insult if you don't know me or if you've never seen me cover those games. That's not an insult. It reminds me of what happened with Metroid Dread. I was covering Metroid Dread. Yeah, no, those games are great. I was covering Metroid Dread semi-recently, just this year actually, for the Metroid blog. And several people thought it was reviewing so badly. Metroid Dread scored 359.87. So, enough said, you know. But there are a few people who expressed concern with how badly that was scoring. And I just wanted to comment on this because I've noticed semi-often some people tend to get a little bit of perspective skewing when a game doesn't score in the 500 or 800 or 1,000 plus range. They think this game is not scoring. I want to remind everyone that to use the color system, you know, that we use for the shows and stuff, the requirement for purple, if you'll give me a moment here, is 160. So anything 160 and up would qualify as a purple game. The fact that it goes up so much just has to do with the gradients and nuance of the system that we use. But again, 160. Anyways, it's not my fault we've covered some of the best games ever made. You know, we have covered Grand Theft Auto 5, we have covered Twilight Princess, we have covered Mario Wonder, Diablo 3, StarCraft 2, Shovel Knight, Mass Effect 2, Portal 2, Hitman 3, Hat in Time, Divinity Original Sin, Majora's Mask, Yoshi's Island, Dragon Quest Builders 2, Ori 2. You get my point. So I just wanted to kind of get across a little bit of perspective on that. I don't want it in any way to sound like I'm being down on this game, because actually quite the contrary. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, it goes black, blue, green, yellow, orange, red, purple. If I have to do an out of, it's that's the system right there. We started doing it with the first Streaminations, and it just kind of stuck, because I don't actually know why. So purple and up is the best, but there's obviously a bit of gradient when it comes to it, just like black. For example, the requirement for black is like negative 120 or something like that. And contrarily, we have negative 300 games. So, and we're going to have one go even further down soon. I'm so looking forward to that. Whoops. Starfield has this. We're going to hit the Starfield DLC. So I am going to do something. I was thinking about this just last night. Please don't hate me. I'm getting rid of 2 of the music positives. And I'm adding 3 music direction positives. This is what we already talked about, honestly. But it reminds me, it's like we were just talking about. The music itself, aside from a couple of songs, is mostly good, but kind of backgroundy. but does, yeah, it's the one for FFRD. It does a very, very good job of selling the scenes, and that is music direction. In fact, I may need to go back and add more than 3 music direction positives, because I was thinking, for example, there's the Awakening scene, which I think I actually did give a music direction positive for. Let me double check that, because I try to do these in order now. There's the Typhon fight. There's Lady Hana scene. Oh my god, where is it? Where is it? It was after Benedicta, wasn't it? Recording moment. Oh my god, I can't read my own notes. Is it further up than I thought? Ah, there it is. Looks like I didn't actually give the positive. This is why we double check these things. Oh, easily, Rex. No question. This might actually qualify for purple. I don't know. We'll see. As you yourself pointed out, the game has the ability to do a lot with a little, which is not only something I value, but something that is just good in general, I would say. It is admittedly really strange that they only dip into doing that. Like, I'm so confused by that. There we go. Okay. Now, if you will forgive my indulgence, I need to double check something real quick. I need to. I'll just say it out loud. I'm ordering breakfast because what else am I gonna do? I'm actually kind of sans food right now, like easily available food. Rax also did give me probably one of the biggest compliments he could this morning, so don't think I missed that. Yesterday I apologized for my overall mood for the last year. Because of everything that's been going on. And my fear that's been bleeding out into my attitude, into my review, into my job. And anybody who knows me knows I'm actually really big on doing my job and doing this properly and as well as I possibly can. And so that fear is absolutely something that sits in the background there. And according to Rax, at least, that has not actually been affecting my job, my ability to do my review and actually be analytical and still distance myself from whatever I'm feeling when I'm covering a game. Now, I should also mention I am constantly afraid of not being entertaining. I suppose that's whatever. Like, there's this thing. It's definitely not imposter syndrome, because I'm not talented enough to even have that. But there's this thing where I am constantly afraid that there's no reason for anybody to watch me, and my job's just going to fall out from under me. There it is. Okay, so I'm thinking tomatoes, pickles, onions. Gotta have onions. Lettuce, mustard. Yes. No mayo. Ugh. Does anybody even like mayo? Is that a thing? Oh man, Thousand Year Door. That's such a goddamn good game. I was actually a little surprised that scored as well as it was. And then I realized that, no, of course one of the best RPGs ever made is going to score that well. Come on. There. Give me my burger. Alright. I've heard a lot of people praise Chipotle mayo, but I think it's due to the specific implementation, because I've had good Chipotle mayo. But then I've had, well, mayo with a bit of spice in it. You know what I mean? It's like, ugh. Oh, my monitor's wrong here. I'll start this cutscene, then I'll fix my monitor.
If we're going to do this, we'll need...
Clive, your timing is impeccable.
It just so happens that right at this very moment, we're in need of someone with your talents.
And what talents would those be?
Why, your fearlessness, and your skill with a blade.
I'm listening.
Well, as I'm sure you're aware, when these dark skies swept over the Republic, so too did a wave of chaos and confusion. Randalar has been particularly badly affected. Many of the capital's bearers have lost their masters, or taken the opportunity to flee them. None remain free for long, of course. Most find themselves under the protection of the Fist before they get far. But the army too is in disarray, and finds itself unable to provide for its new charges. Which means it has been looking to sell.
And you've been looking to buy, to make sure these masterless bearers remain that way.
Precisely. It's the perfect opportunity to free dozens more, and for an attractive price, no less.
So where does my skill with a blade come in?
Though we may have the funds to buy these bearers, we have nowhere to house them. So we've been searching for a place where they can be resettled. Somewhere far from the prying eyes of those who would see them enslaved once more. And we believe we have found one. Cashlock. A small hamlet hidden in a canyon. The place was abandoned a long time ago, but when the men moved out, the beasts moved in.
And so we seek the aid of a fearless swordsman to encourage them to look elsewhere. You'll help, won't you?
Yeah.
How could I refuse?
Excellent. Theo, if you wouldn't mind making arrangements for the transportation of our guests, as we discussed.
Of course. Leave everything with me.
Sounds like you'll have your work cut out for you.
I will. We have an entire village to stock and furnish. Residents and all. Even if I begin right now, I'll be working day and night. So I'd better get started. Try to clear the place out before the wagons roll in, won't you?
I actually did see Rex. I have not had time, of course. I haven't had time to catch up on the Q&A. I haven't had time to update on the
My man
paperwork.
will open the gate for you.
All right.
Haven't had time
Wish
to
me luck.
shave.
I'm
time
sure
to
you
eat.
won't need it.
But I did see it. I will read it at some point. I do think something I've been... So, let me explain why I'm worried about that getting a little bit bloated. Something that's been in the back of my mind is that the block system certainly has been going well, but I think it's also been getting a little bit too big in case of several blocks. In fact, I was actually thinking of breaking up the Yakuza blocks even more, for example, and splitting it up to like just 2 games per Yakuza block. Because 2 Yakuza games is a nice big chonker of game, right? Let's go this way. Did I say hi to Steppenwolf? Hi to Steppenwolf. The Nest block is kind of nuts, but it's also going to be really, really short, right? Because each of those games is going to be... Like we might actually reach the point of doing 3 streams in a day during the Nest block. In fact, you may or may not have even noticed, but all of the Nest games we're covering are not in the Nest block. Because they're off in their own blocks, like the beat-em-up block, for example. Anyways. But yeah, so like I'll accept it for some games where it makes sense, like the Trails of series. There's no breaking that up, right? But yeah, like exactly, the Zelda block is part of what made me think this. I didn't really get bored of the Zeldas because it's me, but we did play Zelda games for like 3 solid weeks. Actually, I can't remember how long it was because we included Tears of the Kingdom in that, so it was a while,
Must have been
right?
a nice place once.
It will be again.
Those poor dogs. So that's part of where I was thinking when it came to the Sonic block. It's like, well, you know, maybe we should just split this up a bit more. Jesus Christ, Joshua! Actually, yeah. So I mentioned Yakuza's a minute ago. So right now we've got 3 Yakuza blocks. I'm thinking about stretching that out into 4. So right now we've got Kiwami 1 and I think 3? I'm not ignoring you, by the Dakota. I'm just letting you finish your type your thoughts. I think we've got Yakuza 1 and... No, 2 and 3 in 1. And then it's like 4, 5, and 6, I want to say. And the next one or something like that. God, I don't even remember. Go away, puppies. 3, 4, 5. That's it. 3, 4, 5. That's the one I was thinking of breaking up and then making it 5. So 3 and 4, right? And then 5 and 6 be the next block. And then we get to the Like a Dragons and the more guidance-y stuff. So it's funny you asked that, Trihexia, because recently I bothered to spend the time and effort to catalog all of the stuff on the archive page. So all of that is now sortable and searchable on the archives page. I had to do that manually. You're welcome.
Don't stop!
Sorry, I shouldn't sound so unreasonable about that. But I've been waiting for somebody to notice that I actually bothered to do that, and nobody has.
Right. Let's head back to Boklat.
It was kind of a pain, yeah. Yep, there's multiple commands for it, even. To pull it up immediately. Sometimes people notice that kind of stuff. Several people noticed the new format for the review, for example, on the website. And that's something I also haven't had time to do. But I did it for the one page.
Theodore. Quiet.
Those are our terms. I trust that you will give them your full consideration.
I shall. Thank you.
I try, as it is. As much as I do not like my older stuff, and to be clear, I don't. I also believe very firmly in preservation and archiving and properly categorizing and properly sorting. And God, YouTube just makes it so hard, which is why I just did it on my friggin' website. Words. There we go.
Him again.
Someone you know?
Yes. And, no. But enough about him. How did you fare down in Cashlock?
It's done. The village is safe now.
You made quick work of it, as always.
I should go and let Eloise know.
Don't let me keep you. But Clive, don't tell her I was watching her, will you? She'll only get upset. I'll explain everything once you've finished with your report.
All right. We'll speak then.
So that's kind of an asterisk, which is why it's not clear, later of all. But the Pixel Remastered block is going to include 3, 4, 5, and 6, but 6 will not be part of that block. If that makes any sense.
Eloise, I just got back
Or,
from Catholic.
sorry, I don't know why I didn't say 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Sorry. Or no, I'm screwed up again. It's 2, 3, 5, and 6. So it's technically 2, 3, and 5. If we were somehow magically to do that before the comparison blocks showed up, it would be 2, 3, 5. But 6, yeah, 6 is in the sum deck. I can't play FF6 right now. But the idea. So I mentioned splitting up the blocks a little bit. The idea and the goal is to, like, say, do the FF1 comparison block, and then shelve the FFs for a little bit while we do some other stuff, and then do 2 and 3 pixels, then shelve it for a little bit, and then do the 4 comparison block, and you get it, right? Spread it out a little bit, rather than doing all the FFs in one gigantic bundle, for the exact same reasons I just mentioned with the Zeldas. The giant bundle thing certainly doesn't bother me all that much, but I do have to consider you guys into the equation, and I know that it can get very tiresome to just constantly be playing FF games for like a month. Just like it happened with the Zelda games. I actually got a decent amount of complaints by the end there. It's like, oh my god, we're still playing Zelda games. And it was a shame because I put most of the really good Zelda games towards the end of the block. So less people were showing up for stuff like Twilight Princess. Or Tears of the Kingdom, for that matter. Thank you, Spartan, as always. Actually, I tend to agree with you, Ross. I was thinking about... I should sit down. You know what? I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now. While I wait for Spartan to tell me what he wants to put that towards. Because, up there it is. So that's going towards War Within, Metroid Prime Hunters, and Dead Space 1R. So let's see. Let's just do a glance here because I keep track of this information. So Tears of the Kingdom was a 13-day game. Okay. So then we have 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 25, 29, 31, 32, 5, 6, 7, 8, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 54. And is that everything? Nope. There we go. So we had 54 days of Zelda. Now, that probably sounds like a lot, and I suppose it is. It's almost 2 months. But what's really interesting about that is 22 of those days were Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. That's, I think that's making Ross's point for him, for lack of a better way to put that. Almost half of the Zelda block was 2 games, which are surface level indistinct from each other. Yeah, the Oracle's games being that long were weird. And that did throw me, and I do think it hurt their overall score. Thank you, Spartan.
The village should be safe now.
Thank you, Clive. Here, something for your trouble. Well then, now that you have laid the groundwork for our little project, I suppose we'd better finish the job. The first thing we'll need to do is make sure our offer for the bearers is accepted.
You're still in negotiations.
We are. A trusted colleague has been dealing with the Fist on our behalf, but things have been trickier than we anticipated. I suppose it's to be expected. This is the army we're dealing with. Fighting's what they do. But we shall emerge victorious in the end.
Well, if you need any help, you know where to find me.
I'm not sure I do. But thank you, all the same.
Yeah, it's telling that Twilight Princess, which I think is the longest game other than the 2 I just mentioned, was only a 22-hour game. Hell, Link Between Worlds was 17 hours. Four Swords Adventures was 12 hours. Spirit Tracks was 24 hours. Phantom Hourglass was 19. Oracles were 15 and 16. And again, that doesn't sound like long, but it's sure longer than they should have been, which goes back to what I've been saying over and over and over for years at this point. The length itself isn't really what matters, just how long it feels. Yeah, no kidding, Doom Rider. Remember, we didn't do all the side stuff in Spirit Tracks. You remember that? We actually cut off almost all of the side quests in Spirit Tracks. Think about that.
Clive,
You wanted to talk?
the man I was watching earlier, the one speaking to my sister, he represents the Silver Peak Consortium. It's one of the bigger trading houses.
I don't think I've heard of them.
Well, every trader in Dharmekia has. They operate across the length and breadth of the Republic, and they're still expanding. They've been trying to get Eloise to join their ranks for some time now, and judging by her reaction earlier, I'd say she had half a mind to accept their latest offer.
And you'd rather she didn't.
I would rather she did what makes her happy, and I would never deny her such an opportunity. Eloise saved me from slavery, and we have striven to save others like me ever since. But this was not the life my sister wanted, nor the one she deserves. I won't let her give up on her dreams again for my sake. She freed me from my bonds, and she must be freed from hers in turn.
You're a good man, Theo.
I have always been grateful for what my sister did for me. and I want to repay the favor by letting her live her own life. But each time an opportunity to do just that arises, she turns it down. For my sake.
She loves you.
And I love her. Which is why I want this time to be different. To show her that I don't need to be watched over anymore. Though I'm sure I'll still need some help from time to time. I trust that I can count on you.
Always.
Thank you, Clive. Well then, I had better get back to work. These bearers aren't going to move themselves. That's a job for the Crimson Caravans.
I know several people were burned out in the 14 run. But at the same time, I'd like to think that a lot of people weren't as burned out on that run as they could have been once we got past ARR. This is, of course, just my own personal opinion, but from my perspective, pretty much the moment we got past ARR, that run started to smooth out a lot. Like, even the Stormblood stuff still went by quickly, you know what I mean? Elden Ring was definitely a burnout game for me, my god. No offense to people who like Elden Ring, of course, but, I mean, that is one of the longest games we've ever reviewed. And yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, I was feeling it by Act 3. Pretty much the moment we hit Act 3, I was ready to be done with that game. Also, one of the longest, I believe the second longest game we've ever covered. Anyways, relevant to the Zelda block, I had a random thought last night as well as I was playing through the section. Because you remember, part of this whole sequence has been weirding me out, right? Like, I like what they're doing, but not how they're doing it, right? You know, the whole running around dealing with the consequences of the knocked over kingdoms and effectively being in the middle of the apocalypse.
I'll be taking you all to a storehouse in the Bales. Leave anything you don't need behind.
And I had the random thought of, you know what would be really cool is having an entire FF game during the apocalypse, like in the middle of it, and essentially dealing with the consequences of the apocalypse that's already hit. You know, the moment has already happened. The bombs have fallen, the skies are dark, the crystals are gone, whatever. And now dealing with that, because that's what we've been doing. And then I realized I was describing several Zelda games. Because remember, as we discussed, each Zelda game, at least of the big ones at least, happens at some point or another around an apocalyptic event, right? LTTP is in the middle of the apocalypse, whereas Link Between Worlds is after one, just like Breath of the Wild is after one. A Wind Waker is after one, and Twilight Princess is leading up to one, and so forth and so on, right? So all I'm saying is I want a Final Fantasy Zelda game. That's all I'm saying, really. Just give it. Just give it to me. Just give it to me. Sorry.
Clive, I fear that I must bid you farewell.
What?
As you know, our time grows short. The Lord Chief Justice's vultures are circling. We must strike now. Before we part, I want you to know that, though I may not always have been your most vocal ally, I trust you, as I trusted your predecessor.
Thank you. I appreciate the sentiment, and I understand more than anyone how you feel. But is revenge really the answer?
It is the one I found, and it is all that I have lived for since that day.
But what of Lostwing? Everything you've built.
I built Lostwing to achieve this aim. Once it is done, the village will have served its purpose. My comrades and I are sure of our cause, and we shall fight to the last, come what may. But there are those among us who cannot fight. Children, the elderly, bearers afflicted by the curse. I would place Lostwing in their hands, if I thought it would do them any good. But a village home only to the frail and the infirm is not likely to stay a safe haven for long.
Not to comment on this, but another thing I've noticed about these side quests is, have you caught how we're basically making a federation here? Star Trek parallels unintended, but they fit. Each of these little outposts is like pulling in people from the surrounding areas, fortifying, getting people, getting resources, getting manpower. and skill and equipment and all that fun stuff in order to try and hole up against the fact that the cities are effectively gone, and the kingdoms are gone, and the armies are roaming, and then the damned are roaming too, thanks to the Akashic. But we're also connecting them to each other, usually via things like trade and communication, but still, it's just interesting to think about that we are probably unintentionally seeding a new republic in the wake of the devastation that we've made. But it's only in the side quests.
And so, Clive, I find myself turning to you once more. Will you take them to your hideaway, that they might live even should Lostwing die?
Done.
I will.
Thank you. I will not have it said that I did not see to the well-being of those who rallied to my cause. The people I speak of have withdrawn to Gotan's Bales, away from danger in case the Black Shields strike.
Understood. I'll make sure they get to the hideaway safely.
Then the last of my preparations are complete. Fare you well, Clive. And may Griga guide us. All of us.
That's true. This is fairly decentralized, but I'm not sure of another better word for it. And of course, the long-standing joke in FF14 is we just go around knocking over monarchies. Actually, it kind of is, Ross. I'm not even sure if it's delivered or not. Although I do know several Zelda developers were fans of the Final Fantasy series, so who knows. A Zelda RPG, I think, should have a minimum of 4 party members. 3 for your... Basically, 3 to have room for your archetypes, your specialization, and then a 4th to be your rotator. Yeah, fourth is your free slot, right?
Come then, brother. We are awaited in Gotan's Bales.
Joshua, I'm kind of busy. Actually, yeah, Rax. Exactly like FF2. Or like FF3 tried to be. And so, you know, Link being a party member is obvious. Zelda being a party member is obvious. Because, goddammit, can we have her in the freaking party? Don't worry, we're going to have that in like a week. Past that, that's actually a little bit trickier. Because there's a lot of other people or recurring characters or types of characters that could fill the 3rd slot. Hey, Game for Chill. Damn, but that's a good point. We could have had voice acting in FF14. Damn you, FF16! Damn you! Like, obviously, Impa would be an easy choice to have as our 3rd character. We could also go with... I mean, Ganon's right there, I'm just saying. No, actually, unironically, Zelda, Link, and Ganondorf being the 3 primary party members who lead up to, you know, fighting... I mean, if you want to go down that route, demise and taking out the curse once and for all, you know, the actual Oni. Not a terrible idea. I don't know. It would depend on how they execute it.
Everyone, Quentin has asked that you come with me. He can no longer guarantee your protection, but I can. There's a safe place I can take you to.
Well, if that's what the Master thinks best. Sid, none of us would be standing here today if it weren't for Master Quentin. We owe him our lives. So we ain't about to start telling him what he should do with his. If he's saying we ain't safe in Lostwing no more, it's 'cause he ain't coming back. And if that's what has to happen, then so be it. I only hope he can see this through to the end. That we get to see justice done.
I hope so too.
Oi! You lot! Where's everyone else? They ain't already left, have they?
They've gone with Master Quentin.
Fuck! Fuck! Fuck!
What's wrong?
I've just come from the Justice's Manor. We have to get Quentin to call off the attack. It ain't just the Black Shields protecting the place. He's got a guard dog and all. A fucking monster. They don't stand a chance against that thing. If I don't get the message to them, they're all gonna fucking die.
No. We can't let this happen.
Good thing. I'm right here.
Sid! Don't worry about us. You've got to catch up with him. We can't let Quentin die before that bastard does.
All right. I'll do what I can. Where is this manor?
It's way over to the east, through the woods. Heaven Hall, he calls it.
Promise us, Sid. Promise us you'll do what you can.
Done. Well, that's way over there. Where the hell? Okay, let's go here. So, hear me out, Ross. Hear me out. Have you played, I think it's like a dragon, the turn-based one, the Dragon Quest one? Zelda, Link, Ganondorf are summons for the new party members. They'd never do that. They would never walk away from you playing as Link or Zelda. That's what I'd do.
Company.
Yeah, see, Takoida's attitude right there is exactly why they'd never do that. There's too many people who would be too married to the concept of you have to play as Link and Zelda in a Zelda game. Be interesting, though.
Clive, look.
No. Don't tell me we're too late. Quentin, are you all right?
No. But I am alive. Which is more than I can say for my comrades. They followed me without question all the way here. And they died. For nothing.
This must be the guard dog. Quentin. I'll hold it off. You go.
But
your comrades didn't die for nothing. They died for you. Don't let their sacrifice be in vain.
I won't.
Come on, then.
I will admit, part of my own desire for them to start doing something new with some IPs
That needs to be put down.
comes from the fact that we've gotten really bad lately, especially in movies, about people
Nice try.
just can't stop member burying, for lack of a better way to put that. References can and often are fine, but we've gotten way past that point. I thank God for the indie scene in video games, because we've actually been getting a lot of new IPs and new ideas and new characters and all sorts of games. And thank God for that, because the AAA scene has been just circling the same drain forever. It's getting tiresome, you know? That is usually the pattern, Mr. Red. We've been through this song and dance before, after all. It's inevitable. Everyone sees something, they want to push it, and then they push it, and then other people see it, and they want to push it, and other people see it, and they want to push it. Pop. It's a cycle. There's a reason I've mentioned we've been through multiple golden eras of gaming at this point in time. Perfect. I do apologize. I will be right back. Maybe?
If only we'd arrived earlier.
Maybe.
Is it over?
Ah, whatever. I'll be right back.
It is. He wept and begged for mercy. And I cut him from ear to ear, just as I dreamed of doing all these years. All my plans, building a haven in Lostwing, freeing bearers from their chains and recruiting them to my cause. It was all for this. But what is this? Justice? My faithful comrades. All those lives lost, so that I might take another.
Quentin.
Master Quentin! Oh, thank Grieger you're safe.
You're alive.
And so are you. I'm so sorry. I tried to warn you about that thing. And I hate to say it, but there's more bad news. It's Lostwing. It's been flooded.
What?
Oh, that kind of flooded.
Lostwing. My Lostwing.
And look who's here.
They must have stolen in after we left, just before the flood struck. What if there are still people in there?
Don't be a fool!
Quentin. Oh my god. Okay.
Damn it. Quentin's not going to last long in there.
Then we finish this quickly.
That's why I have ignition. So if a person is anything really, so if a person, animal, or plant is flooded with too much ether, they go Akashic. Effectively, for all intents and purposes, they become zombies. You see how he just dissolved like that? You may or may not have noticed, but the entire game when you kill someone, their corpse stays there after combat. Unless you're Akashic, in which case it's Thanos's. Now, not sure of the specifics because there's still a lot of question marks when it comes to exactly how the setting works. But you get the idea. Now, right now, what's been happening is the entire continent is getting flooded with ether, just in spurts here and there. That's why this area got flooded. The prevailing theory is that it has to do something with the mother crystals. being knocked over. Now, the only reason I question that is we've been knocking over crystals for 5 years, right? Why is this only happening now? My actual theory is that what's happening is this is specifically because of whatever spell Ultima just cast. Given his big thing seems to be removing consciousness, and this is zombifying people. Alright, Quentin. Tell me I'm not about to kill you.
I need to get back to Quentin.
Yeah, I know.
Quentin! Quentin! Look at me! Thank the Founder. He hasn't turned. I'm going to get you out of here. Welcome back to the land of the living.
Is Lostwing...
The flood has filled the valley.
I see. Then all is at an end. A strange way to achieve one's life's ambition.
No, Master Quentin. Save your strength.
Why? All that I strove for is gone. Only emptiness remains. I have nothing left to live for.
What the heck are you on about? You've got us, ain't you? Don't try telling me you only freed us so you could get revenge. We're more than that to you, and we all know it.
I thought you weren't coming back. But I prayed, and you did. There's got to be a reason for that, right? Can't we just go back to how it was? You know, you looking after us all.
Your work ain't over yet, Master Quentin. We believed that you were the right man to lead us, and we still do.
Your village may be lost, but it seems your people aren't. So long as you remain to guide them.
But why? After what why would anyone follow me?
'Cause we're family, aren't we?
Family?
Yeah, and all our comrades who went with you, they felt the same. Lostwing weren't just a village. It was all of us.
It was. And as long as we're still here, it is too.
We can start again. Build a new Lostwing, right here in the Bales.
We'll call it Earth.
A fresh start. One life ends, and another begins. Why just a village? We could build towns. A nation, even. What's to stop us?
That's the Master Quentin we know.
Please. I am nobody's master. Quentin will suffice. After all, we are family. Permit me to withdraw my request. I will no longer be needing your help in looking after my people.
I'll pretend you never asked.
But you must be rewarded for your efforts on our behalf. You saved my life twice over. And more besides.
A bottle or two of your finest red will suffice.
Of course. Nothing but the best. And I have a feeling that this year's vintage will be the finest yet. If you don't mind waiting, that is.
I look forward to it.
Never too early for alcohol. Don't be ridiculous. Yes, this year's crop is sprinkled with the blood of my enemies. They taste especially bitter. Because I seeded it with their tears first. Alright. I'm pretty positive about this game. In fact, I just gave 2 more positives to story. Question. What do I think of that? What do we think of this? Because we're already approaching like the 7-hour mark of having red skies and the same dull song.
Ah, Clive. Just the man I was hoping to see.
Oh? And why is that?
You remember how some of Sir Wade's guardians took up residence here after the Akashic attacked? Well, now the rest have come to join him. Seems their barracks in the Lazarus have been lost to an ether flood. Now, I don't mind having a few more brave boys around to keep them animals at bay. I ain't daft after all. But we ain't got nowhere for 'em to bed down. Poor buggers are having to make do with haylofts and chocobo pens. I'd build 'em a new barracks here if I could. But where would I put 'em? There just ain't enough room up here on the rock. Which leaves us in a bit of a pickle. The people we're counting on to keep us safe are living like beggars.
I see.
And it ain't just that lot. There's bears to think about too. There's been more and more of them turning up lately, coming from all over looking for safe haven. But there's only so many we can shelter with the room we've got. We can't keep cramming more and more people into less and less space. What we need is a new home for our new arrivals. And that's what I was hoping you might help me with. If it ain't too much of a burden, of course.
It's no burden.
Thank you, Clive.
So, where were you thinking of making this new home?
Well, I reckon we could do a lot worse than Eastpool.
Eastpool. It's been a long time since I thought about that place.
It was a tragedy, what happened. And if any of us could have done anything to stop it, we would have. But what's done is done. And those who lived there wouldn't have wanted the village they loved to be left in ruins.
I suppose you're right.
The blight might be pressing in, but I reckon it's got a good few years left in it yet. There's just one problem. A band of cutthroats have made it their den, and they don't seem like they'll be moving on in a hurry.
Bandits! It's always bandits!
They are too. I've lost some good men to their raids. Would have sent someone to clear 'em out sooner, if my boys didn't already have their hands full fending off the Akashic. But now we've got a few more Guardians of the Flame to call on. I reckon it's time we made our move. What do you say? Fancy leading a raiding party?
I do. Eastpool was once home to people I loved. I won't have bandits sully those memories. I'll gladly drive them out of there.
And I know the men will gladly follow you. I've already shared a few thoughts with Sir Wade about how we might be able to win the place back. And I dare say he's got some ideas of his own too. Why don't you go and talk to him?
Of course.
I've got an idea. Why don't I go over and knock over all the bandits? Oh wait, I already did that. One second. Permit me to wash my hands. I don't like playing with dirty hands. Yeah, so personally, I've already started tuning out the visual thing. It's not something I would call good. The music bothers me a lot more. Which probably doesn't surprise anybody.
Let's hear Wade's plan first.
Because you know me and music when it comes to game design. It's especially jarring in how good the music direction has been the whole game until now. Now, Aqualitas and Rax both accurately pointed out, yes, the songs are different in each area, but good luck even telling that, especially when you're just casually playing through.
So, Wade, it's good to see you well.
And you, Lord Rossfield. And you.
I spoke with Martha. She tells me you have plans to free Eastpool and make it your own.
That's right, though it was mostly her idea. I rather fear my men have been treading on her toes somewhat since joining us, not to mention each other's. And then there are the bearers, men and women who found the courage to flee their masters and sought refuge here. We need somewhere to settle them, and I can think of worse places than Eastpool.
As can I. Which is why I agreed to help you win it back.
That's very kind of you. I'd be most grateful if you would. With you beside us, we shall soon send that rabble of rogues running for the hills.
So, what can you tell me?
That thankfully there aren't too many of them. Fewer than a dozen at our last count.
It's weird. It's almost like someone already went through there and knocked all of them over.
And rather less, thankfully. The road that leads there will more than likely still be crawling with Akashic. A small force would suffice to clear the village, but if the Akashic were to follow them in, that force could end up trapped between a rock and a very hard place indeed.
I'll head into Eastpool and deal with the bandits. You and the Guardians can stay outside the village and fend off any Akashic who come too close. Make sure I'm not taken unawares.
I can't ask you to bear all that risk yourself, my lord.
The Akashic are the bigger risk. I can handle a few bandits.
Yeah, honestly, this should probably be swapped.
If you're sure, I shall summon my men at once.
Shall I wait for you here?
No need, my lord. You go on ahead. We'll be with you before long.
All right. I'll meet you at Eastpool then.
We shall see you there. And may victory await our coming.
Meanwhile, Joshua's like, dude, are we going to get back to the main story? Shut up. Come along. Oh god, I suddenly can't think of his name. Vane's brother.
Can hardly make out a blooming thing. Oh, for a sunny
Larsa. Thank you, God. Come on, Larsa. We got more side quests to do. Is that the right way? I can just warp there. Oh, whatever. Boop. Aw, they respawned. Oh god, he's back!
Who the hell are you? Kill them! You will leave this place.
or face the consequences.
You know, this is going to sound funny considering my comments with regards to Annabella, but it would legitimately be interesting if there was an option to, like, walk up and be like, alright, so here's the deal.
That's the end of that, then.
You can fight us and die.
Well, maybe not.
Or, hear me out. You can work with the people who are coming to sell this place and become part of the new settlement. No. At least give them the friggin' option, you know? That's almost assuredly why the guy actually flat out said, oh my god, kill them on sight. Because otherwise we might be wondering why we're just moving in and killing squatters.
Too slow.
Yeah, I actually have looked at that mod. I think you linked it earlier. And I'm gonna... Whoops. Hit the wrong button. That's what I'm gonna do. Probably not use it just because, you know, usual reasons. I try not to mod if I can avoid it. Yeah, Joshua has more side quest presence than Jill. Game, was she added to the game late? Is that what this is? Just be honest with me about it. Did you not plan for her being in the game? What's doubly weird is adding a line of dialogue that has a trigger to play under certain side quests, like what just happened with Joshua, is one of the easiest things to do from a development perspective. It's pathetically easy. That trigger already exists because Joshua already had that line. So you already put a flag or a variable somewhere that says, this quest, flag, pull this wave file out, right? Add a second one. I cannot believe in the last year, at no point in time did anybody think, you know, maybe we should make Jill more of a presence in these. Ah.
Any more surprises? I'll take that as a no.
Bravo. A magnificent display, my lord.
You were watching. I thought you were keeping an eye out for a Kashik.
We were. Put down more than a few on the road, then arrived just in time to see you slay that... whatever it was.
Let's hope it was the last of its kind. Though I expect you and the Guardians will be up to the challenge should another appear.
I would hope so, my lord.
Your men will be bringing the bearers who'll be living here, I assume. It might be best to send word for them to come right away, before any other unsavory characters move in.
Of course. I'll send orders for them to depart immediately. Leave it with me, my lord.
That's true, Med Overlord. I remember that. So it's not like they can't do that. As with so many other things about this game, I'm more confused than upset.
Home. Without masters.
No. We're the masters now. Our lives are our own at last.
By the way, the Blight's like 5 feet outside of town.
Not a single Akashak in sight. Now to begin the important work of rebuilding the place. It won't be easy, especially not after 5 years of beasts and blackguards having their wicked way with the place. The masonry might still be sturdy enough, but half the beams are rotted. Those that weren't lost in the fire or burned by the bandits, that is. It'll take a bit of elbow grease, but we'll see Eastpool rise again. Just you wait.
So wait. Lady Hannah is buried here. If you don't mind, I'd like Oscar to join the rebuilding efforts. He should be a part of this.
Of course. I couldn't agree more.
I'll let Martha know that everyone arrived safely. If you need anything more, you have only to send a Stolas.
And we will, my lord. Safe travels.
That's actually an interesting idea, little one.
Again.
Let's go and tell Martha the good news.
Hey, she just had a line of dialogue. I'm so confused. So, that's a really interesting idea. Not only could it explain the
This is our new home.
gameplay side of the fact that, you know, over time enemies are getting stronger. But it could help, we could turn that into a lore bit too. Maybe one of the reasons, like maybe people have known about knocking over the crystals for a while because, like, the first crystal got knocked over, right? Years and years ago. And then that led to the Aether increase, and the people in power realized that everyone, everywhere, got just a little bit stronger, a little bit more durable, a little bit more superhuman. And so all of a sudden, those in power have a very vested interest in ensuring that people don't knock over the crystals. Not just because of the obvious, you know, divine right and resource mining thing, but also because it's going to make everyone everywhere stronger and be more of a threat to their power base. Yeah, you get it, Bladefall, because we do know that people literally eating crystals, Titan, Bahamut, get substantially stronger, right? That's an interesting idea. it's also doubly interesting because it makes this already really bad apocalypse twice over even worse. Because bandits go from being, you know, all right, whatever, kind of a problem to, oh crap! Because now a single bandit troop is functionally an army in terms of overall combat capacity. And they know it. And so some bandit groups start grouping up, or some bandit groups get more cocky. We already have had a group of soldiers who broke off from their military unit to just go do banditry. That kind of thing could be happening because they know they can get away with that now, right? Stuff like that. Conversely, this could also help to explain why some of the towns are doing so well at defending themselves, like we saw back in Dollamil, right? Because they're stronger too. That's an interesting idea.
Ah, there you are. All went well then. Sir Wade told me you got rid of the bandits while his lot kept an eye out. Nicely done. And what's all this about some shape-shifting nightmare showing up? On second thoughts, don't tell me. It'll only give me nightmares of me own. What matters is you did it, and now we can build our new village.
I suppose it will be. What will you call it?
What else? Eastpool. Sir Wade said it best. There's plenty bad happened to that place, but that don't undo the good that happened there. No need to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Did Wade say that?
Well, something along those lines. Anyway, the poor souls might have made it to Eastpool, but their work ain't done yet. So the way I see it, neither is mine. If it's food or lumber or strong backs they need, the rest is ready to provide it.
Thank you, Martha.
No, thank you. You didn't have to help us.
I wanted to.
You know, I just had a random amusing thought. So you say I have to do an FF16 rewrite. So my first thought is, you know, zoom out the camera, look at the pieces, see where it fits. And my first immediate thought is, oh, so this is a prequel to the FF rewrites, and we're playing as the people who will eventually become the Terrans. Then I realized that's a terrible, terrible idea, and I should never do anything like that. Okay, looks like that's all our side quests for the moment. The thing I don't like about that is that would mean that, you know, Clive and Jill and Joshua and all them are fighting to free their world, and they succeed. And then they go on to become, like, you know, the horribly evil genocidal maniacs. But, you know.
Sounds like thunder.
And I don't like that.
You're late. We're starting to think you'd stumbled off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly, Blade 12. No, I'm not even doing that.
Oh, that was you, Gav.
Good to see you. Any trouble on the road?
Nothing we couldn't handle.
I knew you'd come. Is that who I think it is?
Yes.
Allow me to introduce my brother.
I do love a good now what story, Lord Hermon.
Clive's told me all about you.
In fact, not to talk myself up here, but one of the big points of RFF10 and RFF10-2 and RFF7 is to be a now what story. Because RFF5 is going to be a fairly large status quo changer. Now what?
Or even listening most of the time. Name's Midadol, but everyone calls me Mid.
My lady.
My boy.
Uncle Byron.
Thank you.
It's really you. I never thought I'd see the day.
So these Akashic are being controlled?
That's what it looked like. Empty eyes, eerie blue glow. No doubt they were turned, but silent as monks, every last one of them.
Your man here speaks true, Clive. We saw more than a few in this city. They moved in ranks with a purpose, and not of their own.
Which, once again, given Ultima's dislike for free will, makes perfect sense.
Ultima's doing.
Perhaps.
What of the city? The people?
Dead, mostly.
Mostly, but not all. A handful managed to lock themselves in their villas before the Horde arrived. Some in the Merchants' District to the west, and a few others on the far bank.
If the Akashic stumble across either hiding place, a few bolted doors won't hold them for long. We need to find them. And quickly.
What do you propose?
We split into two parties. I will make for the Merchants' District, while you look to those across the river. Mind keeping an eye on my brother?
Not at all. We find the villa and try the servants' entrance.
Understood.
And what of us?
Mid, is she fit to sail?
The ship, the Mithril engine could probably do with a few more tweaks.
Then you better work fast. Even if we do reach the survivors in time, they'll never make it to the hideaway on foot.
You leave that to me.
See that Mid doesn't get herself into trouble, would you?
Think I can manage that?
I'll keep him safe.
Looks like you stuck with me, Byron.
That's Lord Rossfield, you little gutter snipe!
Shall we then?
And you keep Clive safe.
Be careful. Both of you.
You too.
All right, Torgal. Let's find those survivors. They don't stand a chance against those things.
Let's go. Oh, they're dead. Cool. To get my way there, random thing. They're just called. They're literally called fodder, by the way. In case you missed that.
They're wearing Waluda armor.
Excuse you? Ugh. Ironically, no, I don't, Rex. Anyways. But yeah, no, it's kind of why I semi-jokingly commented on the fact that they strategically put that little cloak thing there that you go under. Because that way there's no possible way to get up here quick enough to save them. Also, this is what I was talking about. Orc bodies, still here. People bodies, still here. Akashic bodies, gone. I don't think the orcs have had any narrative presence at all. Unlike, say, the goblins, which have had a little bit. Not much, just a little. Football matches, Loke. See, I don't think I can make a good, smooth connection between FF16 and the other RFFs. That's partially my fault. There's not a lot of loose ends in the RFFs. By design. If they're not the Terrans, the only thing they could be is the precursors to the,
What happened to the Royal Army? There's nothing but monsters here.
The natives. I sadly can't think of the name. And the only way they could be those people is if, like, all the magic was bled away from the people into the Mother Crystal, or I guess the Life Crystal at some point. Which could make sense? No, the Cetra is a little bit different. At least in the RFFs. The Cetra is an organization from the other planet. God, I can't think of my own goddamn names. What's the name of the other planet? Yeah, where's my friggin' notes? I'm sorry, it's bothering me because I can't think of my own names. Oh my god, I don't even have the name here. I have placeholder names here in my notes. Of course I do. Whatever. Nidania is the other ones, yes. So there's Nidania and then there's the other planet. And god, I cannot think of the name of it. The Nidanians are the Lunarians. Sandria, that's it, the Sandrians. Okay, so the idea here would be that RFF16 would be the precursor for the Sandrians. We know the Nidanians are more advanced overall magically and technologically, and we know that they have more familiarity with things like the Lifestream. So, okay. So it's entirely possible that after the events of Jesus, RFF16, magic goes away from the world, in the sense that it doesn't go away at all, it just gets collected off into the Lifestream. No more Mother Crystals, no more dominance, no more icons. I cannot believe I actually did that. And it's all pulled out in the Lifestream. And then over, the centuries since then, people have been very slowly rediscovering magic in a more natural way. A way that doesn't cause the devastation of the land. Then, when the Nidanians show up on their shores for the first time, about 180 years before the events of Arthur 1, they're introduced to things like the Lifestream theory and how Lifestreams work, and all of a sudden magical progress gets accelerated. So by the time of RFF 1, a century and a half later, mages are now commonplace. don't know. I'd have to chew on that. Because there's still a few holes there.
Nice try.
See, that's the direction I was thinking, Brega. Since I would have to decide what the mother crystals are, I would say they are an unnatural aberration. Something that was a metaphorical thorn in the planet's sides. Either set up by Ultima or, you know, just by the people at that point. We can keep the climate change and general environmental aspect because the idea there is that things would probably be fine and people would still have access to things like magic and life and resources and all those fun things if they had done, you know, if they had done it in a way that didn't actually destroy the environment in the process. Exactly. Close to snow. Bingo. Exactly the direction I was thinking in. Probably tie Mazidia into this. Mazidia's been dipping in and out of relevance in the RFFs, but it's definitely a recurring element. Center of learning and all that. Unabashedly inspired by Dalaran.
That sounded big. Joshua and Jill must be busy.
Did I miss a treasure chest? Well, the door closed behind me! Ah!
Stay down!
Hello, Zar. It would also help to explain, as bizarre as this sounds because it doesn't need an explanation. Damn it, Ultima! Why Sandria is so far behind Nadania in overall progression. Because Sandria had a reset. In fact, if you're paying attention to how this is lining up, this would mean Sandria was actually ahead of Nadania.
Nice try.
And the reason they were ahead was because of the usage of the Mother Crystals, which was causing them issues which they couldn't get past. So, they lose the Mother Crystals, massive societal reset and technological reset, and they get shoved back into a Dark Age, an actual technological Dark Age. So they have to get caught back up again. Meanwhile, Nadania never had such an incident, they're just progressing. Just teleporting, please. I'd appreciate it, thanks.
That's better.
Correct. We were tossing around the idea of whether or not the worlds were originally merged, or whether or not the merger is a new thing. And I think we all decided that it's a new thing, especially since that's what's in my head. And that's usually the thing that we decided on. I do like that idea better anyways. Well, there's also the big plot twist in RFF8, which helps to explain why there's so many similarities between Nadanians and Sandrians. I'm debating if I even want to tell you what Savicum. always weird the desire to keep some of my plot twists quiet, even though I kind of need to tell you them since you're part of the project.
This is the Agora, where the city's leaders gather. There may still be survivors inside.
So we have to have time travel in FF8, right? That's sort of mandatory. Time is one of the major themes of the game. So the basic idea here is that Nedanians actually are Sandrians, because several Sandrians under Ultimecia, towards the end of RFF8, are going to try to go back in time in order to cause something to happen. I'm not going into too many details right now. That would take a while. Point is, they're going to go back in time quite a ways, several centuries. But the thing is, they're going back in time, and they're using magic to do so, which I suppose is a duh, which means they need something to guide them to their destination, which means they use the life stream, the life crystal at the center of the planet. Thing is, as of RFF8, the life crystal has merged between the two planets, so they don't end up on Sandria in the past, they end up in Nedania in the past. Thus, the Nedanians were always the Sandrians. Make sense? In fact, it's even more interesting than that, in my opinion, because what's actually going to happen is the Nedanians are going to show up in the past. Excuse me, the Sandrians are going to show up in the past on Nedania, and they're going to find the Terrans showing up, trying to do their thing. And the specific reasons the Terrans end up failing at their particular task is because Ultimecia and her group show up to help fight them. That will, of course, rather naturally lead to the events of RFF9.
These creatures. These Ultimus regions step this far. What the hell is going on here?
We'll have to introduce Nil in RFF8, but that's easy to do. Hell, we're probably going to introduce Nil in RFF5, to be honest with you.
Where is your master? What does he want?
That's another good question. I think he really wants to bang his mother for some reason. I don't know, it's kind of creepy. Can we workshop that? Can we have an FF villain who doesn't want to bang his mother? Just once! That's all I'm asking! God! So many! Let's see, we have one. Yeah, that counts. So. Oh, yeah, I guess Seymour counts.
You've caused quite the commotion. But then I would expect no less from you, Muthos.
Well, time to kill you.
You again. I don't believe we've been introduced. You were in my family's crypt. And now you're here. With an army of Akashic thralls.
Manners, Lord Rossfield? They are men, like you and me.
Uh-huh.
Albeit ones unburdened by the wills that drive our kind.
There you go.
They are pure. They are divine.
What?
And they are all that remains in this once raucous city.
You'll pay for what you've done.
As you wish. I confess I have been very much looking forward to this. Pardon me this indulgence, Your Majesty. The vessel shall not be spoiled. I am Sleipnir of House Harvard. And you will yield.
Okay. Let's do it.
Or not.
As long as you don't hold back.
Too slow.
See, that's the thing. Clearly, Harbor wants to bang Barnabas. Barnabas just wants to bang his mother. And there's your drama. Done. I mean, seriously, his name's Sleipnir. His horse. Think about it. Barnabas really needs to be riding Sleipnir. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's right there again. You named him Sleipnir. Listen, all I'm saying is that in RFF16, Jill's gonna be a freaking character. All right, what's gayer? Dion and Terrence literally having a relationship with each other, or these two? I think we know the answer to that one.
That's better.
Now, the challenge would be to make Jill completely incompetent in political matters. Because apparently I just have a thing for women being politically competent. Which nobody's gonna like in our wars. But you know what? Suck. Let's just say I don't think anybody's gonna like my version of Padme.
Fuck. You will forgive me if my performance seems uninspired. It is just that I expected so much more from our chosen one. Perhaps this will kindle your flame?
What now?
A gift from my liege lord's armory. Gungnir. Watch closely, Muthos.
Damn it,
Yes! Yes!
No, Padme is going to be a rather skilled politician. I will freely admit I'm inspired by how, God, I can't think of her name. Mon Mothma was in Andor. But also, another idea. I shouldn't even say it. I shouldn't even say it because everyone's going to hate it. So, I'm going to make Padme the Empress of the Empire. His timing is so weird on those attacks.
Too slow.
Exactly, Pillars of Snow. I'm going to turn Anakin and Padme into a power couple at the front of the Empire. Now, as weird as this may sound, the obvious second question is one I haven't decided about yet, which is what to do with Palpatine. There's only one thing I'm concrete about Palpatine so far. The Rust idea.
Too slow.
I really want Palpatine to be the Rust. I'm in love with that concept. So a lot of people have suggested the Vizier route. I'm not sure about that. I'm still chewing on that. It's the obvious choice, which almost makes me feel like, eh. But there's some other directions we can take that too.
One is seldom enough.
Would you not agree? Actually, I wouldn't.
It's from a speech in Andor, Loke. If you haven't seen Andor, don't. What is happening here? Narratively speaking, the idea is that the galaxy is more or less, or actually, to be more accurate, the Force is being poisoned at its very fundamental core. And that poison is affecting literally everything. The entire galaxy, top to bottom, is being affected by this rust.
Well done,
Nice try.
See, probably not very obvious. I've started double dodging him to get the timing right, because his timing is so weird. Ooh, he hurts.
Nice try.
Fine hand.
Enjoying yourself?
That's kind of the direction I was thinking, actually, Spark. Then again, I've also had some other thoughts on that. I'm still chewing on Palpatine.
More, Muthos! Give me more!
Notice his attack is called Ratatoskr.
Well done, Traitor.
Nice try.
Hit the wrong button there. Whatever.
Too slow.
Muthos.
Thank you, Dark Day. As always. For 2 years of support. What's the difference, Braylon? I will put that anniversary sub towards Doom Dark Ages and Resident Evil Block. And remember, you can put it towards a genre instead of just getting it towards dealer's choice if you prefer to see a certain type of game. You will be at the mercy of my genre definitions, though, so be warned.
The vessel is strong. My liege.
Double tap.
Clive!
Yep, okay.
You're all right.
As are you, I see.
We are, yes.
I'm sorry, but we couldn't save them.
It was over before we arrived.
Well, you did what you could. I fear we were all too late. What's wrong?
Nothing. I hope.
Or you could answer that question. Strategy games. You got it, Dark Day.
Leaving so soon, Mythos?
It's the king.
Indeed. You may kneel before Barnabas Tharm, Warden of Ash and King of Waloed.
Get back.
Question. Do you, like, naturally come by your creepiness, or did you have to work at that?
Wild and impetuous. I expected more of the boy who bested my Lord Commander. Yet I see why my master covets you so. The power within you, Mythos. The potential.
Why are we suddenly terrible?
Stop calling me Mythos.
But Mythos is everything. The cornerstone of all creation. The Lord's vessel. Your purpose.
My purpose? To surrender my mind and body to that thing. No, Your Majesty. My purpose is my own. I made a promise to my friends, to my people. And nothing is going to stand in my way.
You would allow this delusion of free will to bar your path to greatness?
You can say it's my final fantasy.
Truly, your volition is a cancer. One that must be excised.
Try it.
Well, we're dead.
You are as weak as all the rest.
Joshua!
Yeah, I get him being stronger than us right here, but considering he's the next boss, and that, you know, we're pretty far into the game, this feels misplaced. This feels like this should have been much earlier. I can think of a lot of places in the story, even before the time skip, where Barnabas could have shown up and been like, "Hi,"
This way! Hurry!
and just bodies us, right? Yeah, this should be before Bahamut at a bare minimum. Not that I'm sad that Jill is finally doing things.
Beyond reckoning, and they use it as a crutch. Such a waste.
Well, Jill's dead. Now, what's interesting, I just realized what I would probably do here. Hang on, hear me out for a second. Eject Ultima entirely. He's gone. You remember our first real Ultima scene? It was during the Typhon encounter. It was a while ago. Have Barnabas there instead. We beat this thing at the center of the crystal. That's whatever, sure. And then Barnabas shows up, and basically the cutscene we just saw happens, right? Just immediately. And he's like, all right. And he goes, and it's even perfect because he goes and he picks up some random ass sword on the ground. Not even his sword, just a random sword. And yeah, he just and yeah, exactly. No, you get where I'm going with this. Barnabas kills Sid. Barnabas is the one who kills Sid. Ultima's gone. And we see the power gap and what we're eventually going to be going up against. Anyways. But awesome. Okay, hang on. As of this moment, we don't know what Typhon was. My presumption is that Typhon was another body for Ultima. But I don't know. We keep hearing these screams every time we knock over a Mother Crystal. Is that because I just want to get rid of Ultima? Yes! I just need it! No, yeah, cause, exactly, Pillar Just Know. It's a weird sequence. But in its placement, this is just... So hear me out. Let's say we do eject Ultima the character. Where do we bring Ultima the concept into the game? Now, I actually have an answer to this question. But I'm curious of what you would do.
Will he be alright?
The phoenix can mend flesh, but the spirit must recover on its own. I'm afraid the rest is up to him. This place is remarkable. Outfitting it must have been no small feat. But why go to such trouble?
That beauty's belly's filled with wonders the world ain't ready for. If the guilds caught wind of what we were up to, they'd all want a piece.
Real quick, I like Little One's idea. Ultima is racism, and we could punch it.
All right.
And how is he? Do not blame yourself. He was barely breathing when you brought him here. We would have lost him if it were not for you.
No. Barnabas may have severed nigh every sinew in my brother's body. But he made certain the wounds were not fatal.
Nigh every sinew?
Allow me, your lordship. Don't know what I was thinking, putting you to the trouble like that.
'Tis no trouble carrying comestibles to my ailing nephew.
I know, but you've already done so much for us. Pouring your gil into the hideaway and now the ship. I don't want to take the piss.
You risked your life. And for what? Some girl you hardly know. Why'd you do it? You not mad or something?
I wouldn't go that far.
Clive!
You're awake, my boy. Oh.
All I want to do is help. And the world won't save itself. It was Sid. Your father, who taught me that.
Sounds like him.
Don't you dare do that again.
What of the Royalists?
Fucked off, the lot of them, along with the galleon. With the king on board, no doubt. The Iron Hair I wouldn't sail without him. Clive. Jill didn't come back.
He's totally dead, guys.
What do you mean?
She kept the king busy while the others dragged you out.
It's all right, Mid. Jill is fine.
The ether of her icon endures. And as long as it does, we can be certain she is alive.
Longing shot of bread. For some reason.
We must pursue the Black Galleon. Jill will be with the king, I'm sure of it.
Well, good luck catching him, because my ship's going nowhere. It's the Mithril engine. She's got a kick like a wild chocobo and a mind to tear the hull in half.
But do you have an idea?
Well, of course I do. My dad'll have seen this coming a league off. If I had his old writings...
Where do they get their yeast?
Writings, you'd be sitting under a fuckload of rubble. The ones Otto didn't save anyway. I suppose he might still have a few pages in his stores.
We'll have to hope it's enough. Do what you can to ready the ship. I'll speak with Otto.
In your condition, you really are mad.
Perhaps. But the world really won't save itself.
I mean, the damsel in distress trope doesn't bother me in and of itself, as weird as that sounds. It's pretty obvious what bothers me, right? It's when that's their only character trait, or when they hammer that button too hard or inappropriately. You know, when they screw it up. Oh. So, here's my idea, to answer my own question from earlier. Ultima is a spell that Barnabas is trying to cast. Ultima removes free will from people on a grand scale. You'll notice this barely adjusts his overall goals and methods. Keeps him as the crazy, cultist, religious, weird guy who believes that free will is a disease and should go away. Yeah, exactly, Lo. So Ultima the character, gone. I realize we're already making RFF16 here. And instead, Barnabas has been the one behind pretty much all of this. He, for whatever reason, we don't even actually need to explain. We don't need to come up with a reason. Just, he up here, in his blight-infested land from hell, decides that free will is the problem. Yeah, maybe he doesn't know it's a spell. Maybe he thinks it's a god. Worshipping a spell sounds weird and creepy and wrong, which is why it works for someone as evil and villainous as Barnabas, right? Look, I'm well-versed, Loke. So, that's his goal. That's his shtick. He venerates the idea of everyone effectively becoming Akashic. Everyone becoming mindless beasts. And that's what he's been after this entire time. So all of a sudden, a lot of the pieces on the board make a lot more sense, because a lot of what Waloed has been doing isn't really logical if you're thinking of it from a sane perspective, right? Why hasn't he just run over the Crystal Dominion? They have the capacity to, especially now that Bahamut's been removed from the field. Oh, I know that's more recent. Why? I can't remember all the pieces. There's been a lot of political maneuverings and military movings they haven't really been doing. And they could have been doing, right? The Kingdom of Waloed could be a major player on the field and could easily have dominated the twins, but isn't bothering to because that's not what they care about, or at least not what Odin cares about. We can even have this be a thing, where so you know how we just fought a bunch of Akashic Waloedian soldiers? Maybe when we finally actually head up here, we find that a lot of their soldiers no longer have free will, that they're already Akashic. And that Odin has already figured out a little bit of how to control the Akashic, and thus he has his perfect mindless soldiers. Now, here's the question. Would our Barnabas want to then be the only one with free will in the world, like, say, En Sabah Nur? Or does he then, at the end, want to remove his own free will as well, thus leaving a planet of beasts? I like the latter idea more, personally, but I'm curious of your thoughts. I don't know, I've seen the Castlevania anime, Rex. Ooh.
Right. What? Gav said that Otto might know something.
He'll just know, says, I hate you, Lord. I want you to die, Lord Stan. No, exactly, look. That's the direction I was leaning. I want Barnabas to be legitimately
Valleys are full of ether.
incorrect
Help
mentally.
you today, Clive.
No big, like, wahaha behind it.
You earned this.
He's wrong. He's wrong in the head. Ooh, I like that, Mad Overlord. Ironically, that would hypothetically mean that when he cast Ultima and all the people went away, the land would heal. It would just be a land devoid of people. Oh, I remember that episode. Like,
or what's saying for you, dear?
Why not?
Not bad, if I do say so myself.
These stat upgrades, I can raise my defense by 4. Or my HP by 2. I'm not gonna bother. There's no reason to.
So what do I owe the honor?
This button.
What do you want? You can thank me later. That it? Fine.
Woo! What kind of hoops did you have to jump through, Dakota? No, I kind of noticed that, Estamine. I don't mean to be harsh about this game because this game sucks and it's literally Hitler. But I was thinking last night while I was playing WoW about how WoW has gone so far out of its way to make its gear such a major part of the leveling experience. There's a lot of very, very unique, interesting, and mutator-style gear in WoW. And that's because they've been doing that for a really long time. Like, that's their approach. Contrast this game, or FF14, where it's primarily stats, and the majority of the alternate stuff is in which specific class you're playing as. And I'm not saying either of these are good or bad, it's just something that was striking me as an interesting contrast between the two. Captain Marvel is going to crush everything in her path. That's what she does, Actaft.
Clive? But if you're here, where the hell is everyone else?
Gotcha,
Don't
Dakota.
tell me.
They're all right. But it's a long story.
You lot don't do things by halves, do you? Well, at least everyone's still breathing. Now, as for these writings, I'm sorry to say, Clive, but if you had those, you'd be...
Sitting under a pile of rubble, I know.
But we were able to save a few bits and pieces from the ruins, most of which ended up being used to...
Who, Loke?
The more personal items we gave to the next of kin. In the case of Sid's things, that would have been mid.
Then I'll check the workshop.
So I was thinking about that too, Rax. Forgive me for not going into specifics. Here's the vague idea. You've played Tactics, of course. Make Barnabas the Lucavi. The external context thing, right? Annabella, Sylvestra, and all that, they're the political machinations. They're arguably the central plot. And take a large amount of focus for a large amount of time. But ultimately, they're all playing a board game while Barnabas is over there trying to flip the table. Exactly, Dakota.
This looks like it's from Sid's old diary. But you'll already have read it. I'd better keep looking.
As for Olivier, in specific, I'm torn on that one, because there's a lot of directions we could take that.
What do we have here? Oh. Sid's pipes. Something tells me Mid won't be needing these.
We've had no word from Canva for days.
Please tell me Mid is all right.
Nah, she did. So, this would take some rejiggering, but hear me out for a second. What if Olivier is, I'm not sure how, but a test bed for the ultimate cast, for the ultimate spell? So Olivier is born Akashic. Doesn't have all the stone stuff, but that's why he's all, that's why he's spacey in every scene he's in, because he has no soul, mind, sentience, whatever you want to call it. And so, you know, obviously Annabella is, you know, I must take care of my child. And it could even be a bit of a character bit for her, in that her big, you know, a lot of her scheming and planning has been to put Olivier, her son, on the throne of the entire continent. And her son won't even respond to her when she talks to him. And there's this bit in the back of her mind where she's getting more and more worried that she gave birth to a defect, right? Someone who just doesn't work right. And so that could help push her to even more severe experiments. And yeah, you get where I'm going with this, Rax. There's several ways Barnabas could then get a little bit more involved. Annabelle's getting more desperate. The Emperor is getting freaked out. Finally, Annabelle, in a moment of foolishness, convinces her husband to go ahead and give her son the throne now, even though the son could do nothing but lay on the throne and just kind of idly play with a toy, like a cat would. That, of course, kicks things off, because at that point, yeah, exactly, that forces Dion's hand. That makes the counselors be like, he doesn't even talk. How can he be emperor? How is this a thing? And Annabelle's like, you will respect him. And she starts to lose it a little bit more, and she starts to slip. And all her political acumen starts falling apart because she's barren now. She's past age, right? This is her last point. This is the last shot she has at having a son who takes the throne. So she's just pushing for this. The actual emperor, he's fine with it. After all, the son needs a regent. He is, for all intents and purposes, still the one actually in power. So he just continues to maintain the regency. So he's playing in his own game. She's playing in her own game. The child is functionally not even a person. And Barnabas is the one who's just poking at them, not even caring about their political games, because he's after a completely different goal. I think that's how I would do it.
I remember seeing this doll in Sid's cellar. I wonder if it was Mid's. Huh. What's this tucked inside it?
I would barely change Dion. Dion is so much of a frontliner that he cares about people, and that's exactly what he needs to be. Of all my inventions, this one's the best, and so when choosing its place of rest, I recalled your opus, daughter dearest, and now it sleeps there in the first. I'm gonna have to work on that last rhyme. Good luck!
Sid's best invention. Huh. That sounds promising.
You know the unironic answer to that, Von Falkenstein?
So
it's because I'm a good editor.
Mid's first opus. But what would that be? Perhaps Otto might know.
Do you think Mid's ship will have a son?
If Amber and the Lazarus are gone.
Oh yeah, let's see what Horny Lady has to say. We haven't talked to her in a minute. What's up, Hornlog?
Master Sid, have you seen His Highness the Prince? We were to dine together, or so I was going to suggest. Before he vanished, that is. I suppose now I'll just have to ask the Bard.
Asta, no judgment, but please stop sleeping with my entire army.
Well, did you find anything?
Possibly. You wouldn't happen to know what Mid's first opus was?
Opus? That girl's as tone deaf as a banshee. Unless you mean the orchestrion. She couldn't have been more than, what, 11, 12 when she cobbled that thing together? It surprised us all. Not least her dad. You should have seen how proud he was of the little scamp. What's that battered old box have to do with anything?
I think Sid may have hidden something inside it.
Wouldn't surprise me. Those two and their bloody treasure hunts. Half the things in the hideaway were hidden one time or another.
How are we supposed to do our duty when the hills are crawling with Akashic and the valleys are full of Aether?
I also like what Bragwin suggested earlier. So, for those of you not aware of the joke, I have this... several characters I've written have turned, you know, absent female characters into politically savvy characters. That's very much unintentional. I'm not doing that on purpose. And so I've kind of been making a joke out of it. Jill? I would make her, like, completely... like, almost uncouth in terms of how she portrays herself. Like, she might literally have more cultural norms from the freaking Vikingers, or whatever they call themselves, the Ironbloods, than anything else.
I didn't break it. Well, I didn't break it.
Why did you break it?
What didn't you break?
Nothing. We didn't break nothing. We definitely didn't break the orchestrion.
What's wrong with it?
It's broken. Except when it isn't.
Yeah, imagine what Gladio should have been.
See?
And you had nothing to do with this?
Nope. Nothing. We just wanted to listen to all the songs at once. So we pressed all the buttons. Like this. See?
All too well. All right, out of the way.
Which Anna, Loke? Yep, it's time to play Thomas Was Alone.
There's something caught on one of the gears.
Did you break it?
Oh, Annabella.
Fix it?
No, I mean, yes.
No, I think Annabella would work better if she thinks she's good at politics.
There. How about now?
You fixed it! Sid fixed it!
I mean, it looked enough like an airship.
Fixed it. Yeah! New music!
Huh. Never heard this one before.
They started playing when I removed this. Whatever it is.
Well, don't look at me. I can tell you it's important, though. Sid showed it to me once and said as much. Said it was the stuff dreams were made of. Let's just hope it's the stuff ships are made of as well.
Indeed. Let's see if we can make some dreams come true.
That would be an interesting contrast to Clive's misery guts, Loke. I don't know, I'd have to chew on that. But no, Annabella, I would make her a Krennic. Like I said, someone who is nowhere near it as good as she thinks she is. Not to be crude, but I'd also make it a plot point that the only reason that the Emperor tolerates her is because she's good in bed. No, literally.
Just the two I was looking for.
Aye. Who's a patient?
Actually, yes. The Crown Prince just left.
Dion left?
Unless you've another word for stood up and walked off. Yes, left. He did have the decency to leave a message with Obelisk before commandeering one of his dinghies. Should we go after him?
No. We're not the Prince's keepers. He's free to do as he sees fit.
I'd rather he did so in bed. His wounds are nowhere near healed. Much like yours, I suspect. Otto told me what happened in Canver. What is it with this realm's princes and their aversion to rest?
We got work to do.
Ask me when I get back. Though I may be sometime.
Then at least try to stay safe.
And if that fails, try to stay alive, eh?
We could also make her a Borsk. Borskfalia, I think is how that's supposed to be pronounced.
Every moment I waste here, the further the flagship sails. I have to get back.
Which is why 2 side quests just popped up. Why would you have that line the moment 2 side quests pop up, game? You're just rubbing my face in it at that point. He's a character from Star Wars. He's... how do I explain this? He's a really good slimy politician and a terrible politician, if that makes any sense. Like, he is terrible at statescraft, terrible at actually manipulating, or, wrong word, maneuvering, or thinking long-term, or managing, or administering, or anything like that. But he's really, really good at being a slimy git.
She can't keep this up much longer.
Star Wars, Luke. Oh, I suppose that doesn't narrow it down. He's introduced in the Thrawn trilogy. He's in a few other things after that. Actually, yeah, Blade Taval. He's... actually, to use a modern equivalent, because I've actually complained about this in real life, we need more boring politicians and less rockstar politicians. Because rockstar politicians can't do their job properly, but they can stir up the crowd. That's the kind of thing I would lean towards with Annabella. Not literally, but you get the overall idea, right? Someone who really isn't good at the administration of the Empire. But instead someone who's just, you know, really, really good at manipulating people onto her side, and especially because of the fact that, and I want to stress, this is not something I would back away from, she's really good in bed. And the Emperor puts up with her because of that. I would make that a point. I would make some of her counselors not give her any respect or due because of the fact that they know that she just happens to be his candy. And so that then makes friction between her and the counselors who actually help administer the Empire, right? Stuff like that. And of course, Dion hates her guts, but of course he does. It's okay, this is the robot candy. We'll just know. It's fine, it's fine. You got it, Kira Whitehouse. Don't worry. We'll find the baby eventually. Baby's fine. Dion, you know, that's a good point. Dion is immune to women. I didn't even think about that, actually. That's funny. Actually, there is a new Thrawn trilogy. Except it's not a trilogy. It's like 4 books at this point. Something like that. Jill should wield an axe. Big ol' frickin' axe. And she should be playable.
Glory to Griga. There you are. And not a moment too soon.
What's happened?
Taya's busy working herself into an early grave. Since the arrival of her latest patient, she's refused to stop, even for a moment. I've tried offering to see to him in her stead, but she won't hear of it. Clive, she hasn't left the infirmary in days. She's pushing herself too hard. And if she doesn't rest soon, will you talk to her? Order her to her chambers if that's what it takes. Because if she keeps this up, I fear the hideaway will be without its best physica before too long.
Ugh, don't remind me of Ahsoka's Thrawn. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that one.
I know better than to order Taya to do anything. But I'll speak to her.
Thank you. I pray you have better luck than I did.
It's funny you say that, Pillars of Snow. One of the things I was thinking, because at this point you've already got me thinking about a rewrite. What I would probably do is have a frickin' party, but how do you differentiate them? So hear me out for a second. Clive is the freelancer. Everyone else is stuck in their specific class. Now, if some of you that won't explain it, so let me try to talk that out a little bit more. Clive can do this. He can have 3, or however many, icons equipped at a time and swap between them on the fly, but he can only have 2 of their abilities equipped at a time. You switch to Jill, she's got Shiva's full kit. We switch to Joshua, he has Phoenix's full kit, right? So obviously there is going to be some bleed over and some similarity, but they're going to have so much more available without having to swap or without having anything else. And yeah, I also like the idea of there being more kit. Them being the hyper-specialization, him being the homogenization. So he can customize and they can expand.
Well, Talia, Rodriguez worried about you. And if what he says is true, then so am I. We all admire your dedication, but you do need to rest.
I will, when it's time. Until then, I'm staying put. We owe him that much.
Who is he?
Someone from my past. Someone who doesn't deserve to die alone. It won't be much longer. The crystal's curse has almost finished its work. If I had the tears, I could ease his passing. But without them, we've nothing that will touch the agony of those last few hours.
How would tears help this man?
Not my tears. Tears of mercy. Alicia, it's the only thing strong enough.
You wouldn't, Talia. Surely. There must be something we can do for him.
Sometimes an easy death is the greatest kindness we can offer. You do well to remember that, Rodriguez.
I will.
Unfortunately true.
We have all the ingredients we need for Alicia Balwam. It needs to be fresh, though, so we rarely have much to hand. I can make the draft if you can bring me what we're missing.
Just tell me what you need.
There is a species of venom-weeping spider that lives in the forests of Norvrant.
Norvrant?
Pass. Bring me one of their eyes. Preserve it as best you can, but avoid contact with the tears. I'll make sure the other ingredients are ready before you return.
Thank you, Clive. I won't forget this.
Actually, now you got me thinking, because we're turning Jill into effectively a barbarian queen, right? Her having that kind of big, screw you, almost Viking perspective, yeah, Karlach, works really well with Shiva's kit, doesn't it? Especially in this game. What are all of Shiva's attacks? Entire wave of death. Right? Like, that just kind of leans itself in that direction anyways.
Cole said it was an army of Akashic. What will happen to me and to the others?
This way.
They'll be fine as long as Sid is...
No. Tear ducts don't exist from Falkenstein. Just give me the eyes. Just give me the eyes. Yeah, she has full auto and fuller auto.
If it's knowledge you seek, we've tones aplenty to guide you in your search.
Contrasting Jill, I don't think... Ooh, I like that. Contrasting Jill, I don't think Joshua's personality needs to change at all. Him being the actual prince here tracks for me. But that does leave us a question. What do we do with Clive? Oh, and Dion is also fine as is. No need for a change there.
Sid, do you recall the flowers I had you bring back to the yard?
Vaguely. Is something wrong?
I'm afraid so. I was able to get most of the Morganbeards to take root, but they rarely flower. I fear the soil here does not agree with them. However, I believe I have a solution.
I can't wait to hear it.
I'm going to marry the Morganbeards with Morbles. I know, but hear me out. Morbles are possessed of a highly choleric temperament. The fire which drives them appears to be maintained by an abundance of nutrient-rich ether drawn from their environs. I believe that by grafting a Morble vine to a Morganbeard, the appendage's wealth of vigor-inducing nutrients might well stimulate the flower to bloom. The endeavor, I assure you, is scientifically sound. I simply need a vine to prove the theory.
Okay.
And all you need is a single vine from an ordinary Morble.
That is correct. A single vine. As for the Morble, I fear ordinary may not suffice. But, as luck would have it, a most extraordinary specimen is rumored to haunt the swamps of Rosaria. Why, a notice concerning this very creature was only recently posted on the hunt board.
How timely.
Well, I shan't keep you any longer. I know you have much to do, as do I. Now, where did I put my watering can?
I like a combination of Pillars of Snows and Blade 12's idea. Make Clive very questioning of his own worth. Imposter syndrome, if you will. But also, he very, very much just wants to be out there helping people. In my head, I picture him as Ramza, but with less certainty. Like, not in it for the rewards, not in it for the gold, not in it for his ego. He just wants to help people. That would be funny on Falkenstein. Speaking of the combat thing, I agree with Asdamin's idea. Adding some special effects to elemental types is already something I tend to enjoy in games in general. It also would make Clive more interesting since he could stack those, whereas nobody else could. But also, in an ARPG like this, I picture terrain as something that can matter, and also positioning. So, hear me out for a second. What if, off the top of my head, Ramu has the ability to put out, effectively, a black hole spot, which then drags enemies to that one spot and holds them there for a few seconds, thus giving you a nice clustered spot for some other kind of AoE to land on it. Or, maybe with Shiva, you can actually spread ice on the terrain, which makes it so that enemies are like, whoop, as they're moving around, and have more difficulty maneuvering. Stuff like that. Morbles. Carrot. Oh my god, it's freaking Carrot. We're going after Carrot. We're going after Judo Joker. I knew it! Oh my god. Anyways, we're not gonna do that. Walk away forever, and we're never gonna do that quest ever, ever, ever. Okay, oh my god. Thank you, Judo Joker. As always. Let's see. And we're putting that. No more hunts. I'll do them off camera. Another 3. Siphon, Filter, Omega Strain, and Cyberpunk. Yes, the cutesy Carrot is less of a threat than the freaking Chocobo. God damn you, Final Fantasy Tactics. Oh, right, I was actually going to look up where this thing is. Okay, fine. I'll consider doing the red... hang on. Where is this? I actually had a really good guide. Here we go. Perfect. It's from Polygon. Let's see. So this is... Dread Comment. Here we go. It's only level 38. Only. Alright, just for you guys. I'm gonna go die for your entertainment. Let me go refill my potions. I think the mountain chocobo was like supposed to be the red chocobo, but it clearly isn't. Other than that, no. I think the only red chocobos... I feel like red chocobos show up during the racing, but I'm questioning myself now, so maybe I'm wrong. Man, we had... Sea, ocean, mountain, and then gold. Yeah, no, I'm right. Come on.
Let me tell you a story, Clive.
No.
All right.
Them rumours Wet Legs were spreading. Might be they weren't just tales plucked out of thin air. You see, there were a time when I weren't too particular about who I sold steel to, so long as they paid me the right price. Some women lust after blood, others after flesh, but me, I were always one for gold. And to satisfy that lust, I sold to opposing armies, stabbed my every client in the back, made myself the most hated woman in the twins. But then one day I met a man who made me a different kind of offer. Said he'd give me access to a realm-wide community of like-minded individuals in constant need of steel and sundries. On the condition I sold to him and his alone.
Was that the first time you met Sid?
Aye. And I fell right into his damn trap. He was true to his word, so I ended up being true to mine. And I soon started making the best profits I've seen since taking up the trade. And all without aiding or abetting any outlaws. Except Sid himself, that is. Told me about his plan to topple the mother crystals, you know. Said that with them gone, the realm would want for all manner of things. An opportunity for the likes of me to mint gil. Why, I reckon an enterprising individual could find himself the richest dam in the twins. And that's when he had me. I emptied my stores that day and moved into the hideaway proper. And the rest, as they say, is ancient bloody history. A dozen years on, and I'm still not the richest dam. Not for lack of trying, mind. But I can say that I have never been happier. You've all shown me there are some things more precious than gil.
That there are.
So don't you go messing it all up, or you'll have me to answer to. Clive. If you're gonna buy something, be quick about it. You'll not find a better price than that. You're rubbing me blind, you know.
Sure, Von Falkenstein, hang on.
Still alive, are ya? If you're gonna buy something, be quick about it.
Okay, so automatically cast magic spells and maintain charge until cast. Increase limit break generation by 3% when dealing damage. Increasing limit break generation by 6% when taking damage. Reduce cooldown time by 2.7 seconds. Reduce cooldown time by 2.7 seconds. Earn gil increased by... Oh, I already have this. Oh, and that's it. That's all of them.
Finished, are ya?
That's a good question. How do you do cavalry in a grid-based, turn-based? I mean, movement speed is the obvious thing in, like, charge attacks and trample attacks.
Cole said it was an army.
But it also feels like it would be really easy with fairly basic tactics to just kind of corner and pound, and that would go contrary to the concept of cavalry. Maybe rather than having a cavalry unit, have a cavalry ability. Call for a charge, and it like hits a line, you know? Something like that.
All right, Clive. Blackthorn told me you helped him out again. Tough for that. Speaking of which, I'm actually a bit,
worried about him. And you want my advice?
Afraid so. It's a bit of a funny one, this, but I saved this posh knob while I was out on a mission, and he gave me this flashy ring to say thank you. So, obviously, I show it to Blackthorn, thinking he'll be impressed, only for him to go white as a sheet and quiet as a curl instead. Try as I might, I can't for the life of me work out what could have got him upset like that. And seeing as how Blackthorn opens up when you're around, I thought maybe...
All right.
I'd speak to him again. Well, I suppose there's no point leaving him to stew.
Yep, I mean, Jill's actively being tortured and has been captured, but she's just my one true love. I don't care about her that much.
Cheers, Clive.
I'll be sure to pay him a visit as soon as I have a moment.
All right, I'll meet you by the forge then. You come along when you're ready.
All right, Blackthorn, what's the issue this time? Yeah, who's Jill anyways? No, even the game knows that we don't care about Jill. And they're like, because they decide when the side quests open up. That's not something that happens by accident. Those all have to be manually unlocked. So they decided to give us all these side quests right before, like right after Jill was kidnapped and right before we go rescue her. Renoa's hanging by the ledge. She's fine. She's fine.
Bloody hell, Clive. Not this again. Oh, ain't you got better things to do with your time?
What else could I possibly be doing with my time right now?
That remains to be seen. August tells me he showed you a ring, and that the sight of it clearly upset you. Would you mind telling us why?
Come on, mate. Bottling it up ain't gonna help no one. If it were...
Rax, have you played Sonic Forces yet? In English, as weird as that is to clarify. No, I noticed Esdemir. She's fine. She could be being horribly tortured or, you know, brutalized or forced to kill people or watch people. Okay, so you remember the part where, like, I forget the time gap, but, like, there's a time gap and the whole time Sonic's been being tortured the entire time? That plot point always threw me so hard in Sonic Forces. So he's been being tortured the entire time. And then, of course, the game acts like nothing happened.
The ring, and it was something I said, then I'm sorry.
It was the ring, right? It brought back some unhappy memories, that's all. Memories better left forgotten.
Memories of what?
There are things we'd all rather leave behind, Blackthorn. But sometimes it helps to talk about them.
What is this, War Within?
Sometimes it doesn't. Is that so hard to understand?
Don't be like that.
Fine. If it'll get you off my back. That ring you flashed was the work of Zoltan. We apprenticed together, back in the day.
You've never mentioned him before.
Why would I? Ain't seen him in decades, and the last time I did, we almost came to blows. The ring brought it all back. I could tell it was one of his the moment I saw it. Bastard's improved, though. More than I thought possible. That thing's a work of art.
So it was a nice ring. Worth a few gil, maybe. What's it matter to you?
It matters because engraving metal's a nightmare and I've got no bloody idea how he managed it. The fact is, I couldn't make anything even half that detailed.
So what? You're an armorer, not a jeweler.
I'm the Hideaway's master craftsman. I'm not stealing a living at some backwater village forge. My armor keeps you lot safe and my swords keep you dangerous. As far as I'm concerned, every swing of my hammer's another blow struck in the name of our cause. So I put my heart and soul into my work. Because the curse breakers deserve better than second best. And I refuse to be shown up by the likes of Zoltan.
Very well. Why don't we go and pay him a visit? Learn his secret.
I doubt he'd be too happy to see me.
Then just this once. Make peace with being second best. Swallow your pride and focus all your energies on the task at hand. Keeping the curse breakers armed and armored. Provided you can do that, you'll hear no complaints from me. But if you can't, and it's going to distract you, we need to do something about it.
What'd you say, Blackthorn? You know he's right. And it's not like you'll be going alone.
All right.
Magic. So, where do you reckon old what's-his-name is then? Zoltan, was it?
In Dravozd, my old village. He won't have left. He's the chief.
Dravozd, eh? That rings a bell. Not far from Tabor, right? Just north of the fields of Carava. Got that, Clive? Meet us at Dravos as soon as you can, yeah? And I'll make sure Blackthorn don't get cold feet.
Good luck with that. I'll see you there.
Yeah, Blackthorn's quests are... I mean, they're not bad. They're just kind of strange. War Within isn't done yet, and so I cannot, in fairness, judge it against every previous expansion, which is. However, I would, if you put a gun to my head right now, which you just love doing for some reason, I would put War Within up with Pandaria and Legion. Where is that? Gotta be down here somewhere. It's like this is actually going to be our closest. I have not, Spartan. We're still going through the fourth zone, the last zone.
Mummy?
The current events have slowed that down a little bit because we spent all of last night just doing the anniversary stuff.
The town guard are strapping bunch.
Anything I can interest you in?
There's Titanomachy. These are expensive. Why are these so damn expensive?
Go with Gilbert.
We were doing BRD last night, and it was the weirdest experience because because of the coincidence of queues, we got the third raid first, right? And just ran over it. Like it was like, all right, here's the final boss, and he's dead. And that was pretty much our experience with Tharazim. And I was like, okay. And so we all sort of adjusted our presumptions of what the raid was going to be like based on that. Then we got the first raid and wiped on the first boss on Rockor. And there was just this moment of what? Also, if you haven't done the BRD raids, please do them. They're awesome. Like, they've taken the BRD fights and turned them into actual fights. Well, we were queuing as 3 DPS because I didn't feel like tanking. So it did take us a good 30 minutes for the queue, but we were doing the anniversary events in the interim. And Time Walkers, of course. Did WoW raids get difficult again? Now that's an interesting statement. By saying that, you have to presume that what you mean by that is that WoW raids aren't difficult. I'm curious where such a statement comes from.
Enough of you, are there?
Blackrock Depths, Spartan. It was a raid turned dungeon from vanilla, which has been turned into a raid again in the anniversary event.
It's over!
Here. Well, allow me to professionally disagree with them then, Von Falkenstein, and I'll just leave that at that. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Some people have generated entirely too much noise about WoW raids over the years. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Alright. mean, kinda, yeah, Rex.
That's like no chocobo I've ever seen. Something tells me it won't be easily broken.
Oh, okay. I wasn't ready for the second part of that. I was expecting the comet, though. Oh my god, he has no break bar. Okay, I can work with that. He's got some health, too. Okay. You know, another thing you could do. Right now, magic generally does better stagger damage and melee does more HP damage, but you can lean into that with elemental types, too. Depending on how complicated you want to be about it. You could do something simple, like, you know, fire damage does good stagger. Or, ice damage does good stagger or whatever. But you could also do a thing where, like, fire damage would do more stagger against certain types of enemies, too. So you actually do add in elemental weaknesses, but not in a direct sense, more like in an indirect sense. It's in Heavensward's capital city. Can't think of the name of it right now. I'm a little busy.
Come on!
Another one. Why do these keep coming? Oh, God, and I'm dead! Holy crap! He actually killed me! He actually killed me! He just kept doing his meteors! He is the one.
Too slow.
The jump button's weird, which is why I'm not even trying. Yeah, I definitely want the limit break. Plus, the dodging gives me a little iframe, so... The biggest problem is that camera takeover. Can't see the upcoming shot because the camera's being cool when I do the dodge. See what I mean? And I just lose my timing. I might stop using the ring, at least for this fight. When I die again, which is not throwing meteors at any point in time? Asking for a friend.
Let's roll ready. There's a good boy.
I'm actually happy that he did the meteor rain.
Poor beast. There was nothing I could do. Where would I be without you?
Rest in piss. Okay, so anyways, did that. This should be a cakewalk by comparison. Where are we going for this? Let's see. Nice, Breglin. Yeah, that's our new mount. The red Jergamo. What part did you hit, Yura? You know, I hear there's this bald idiot on Blue Sky Rocks who doesn't use it for anything other than game announcements, stream announcements. Ah, yeah, no, that part is pretty messed up, Yura. I can agree with that. Hi, Carrot. How are you?
It couldn't have been just any more, could it?
Nope. It's okay, he has a break bar. This should be a joke. Oh, God, I'm dead. And watch, Carrot's gonna absolutely kill me. What do you want better?
Well done, Toto. As we're all ready.
Remember just last week we were talking about the good uses Twitter has? How many of you know about the current E. coli outbreak at McDonald's food? I found out from that from, guessed it, Twitter. And that is more or less exactly what Twitter is good at. Weirdly enough.
Not good.
I'll be over here then. If you want to stop standing in sludge, I'll be over here. I'd have to check. I don't usually pay attention to that sort of thing. Just for you, von Wallenstein. very minor complaint about this game's combat. I'm not going to ding it for it. It's just something that's been bugging me the whole game. A lot of enemies, usually bosses, have a phase transition thing they do. And every single time, what it does is it forces Clive to do this thing. And you've seen him do it. He goes like this for a second. And he goes, whoa! And you lose control of him for that period of time. And it's pretty much there to force you to allow this phase transition to happen. It's kind of an inverse iframe, because you have no ability to do anything while it's happening. And yeah, whatever ability you were using in the middle of that, which was probably something, it's gone. I have lost quite a few combos because I've been going in order to accommodate said chains.
Well done, Tom.
No, Mike, we never revealed DLC under any circumstance, ever. Whoop. I look away for 1 second and I get hit. Of course I do. I deserve that. That is very true, Lord Harlow. There, he just did it again. He just did it again. It varies off the deeper end. Let's try. If I gave negative to absolutely every single tiny little individual thing that bothered me in a game, games would get a lot more negatives. You know. I should probably hit the right button there. Whoops. I did not mean to hit that button. Well, whatever. We're Mega Flare now. But the truthful answer is just experience. I've been doing this for a long time at this point. And so I just kind of have a general vibe for when something is fully worthy of a negative or when it's merely an absence of a positive. In fact, in the early days of reviewing, when we were first setting up the pluses and minuses system, that was one of the most common types of discussions we would have. Is this an absence of a positive or a presence of a negative? Did it again! Also interrupting my combo. Again. Could you not? I mean, why not, Rex? I haven't been using it lately. Nice try. Get some additional chip damage. Sure, why not? Yes, that's right. Mega Flare is chip damage. You heard me. It's okay, honestly, Giga Flare is chip damage. The benefit of Giga Flare is its low cooldown, not its damage, which is weird. Exactly, Lord Harriman. Also true, Breakfast Sampler. It's one of the reasons why I take a bit of umbrage when someone says I'm a nitpicker. Because I don't agree with that.
Well, that was definitely anything but ordinary. Now, let's get this vine back to the yard.
A nitpicker would get a negative for that one wooden texture. You remember that? Yesterday? That's nitpicking. Oh, the trees in Pokemon Sword and Shield, yeah. Where do you want me to go? And how do I get there? Let's go from this angle instead. Well, the only reason that I hesitate to say that Giga Flare is doing decent damage is it keeps track of how much damage we do during staggers. And I have noticed that ever since I switched to Giga Flare, that damage number is lower. In fact, actually, just for the hell of it, let's swap this around a little bit for our next boss fight. So Ramu. And we'll push this down to Titan. And then we'll fix our abilities. let's just back out of this entirely. Although I do like the satellite ability. Now it's still possible that Bahamut does more damage over time, because the Ramu cooldown is so big that it might simply take too long. I've kind of walked away from Titan, even though a lot of sources I've seen say that he's one of the better pure DPS things. And the reason why is because I'm pathetic and terrible. Okay, so I'm going to want... The charge completely throws me in the middle of combat. Okay, will... And then... Yeah, the flow, it just throws me. I don't have a better way to put it. It just completely throws me. Okay, so I need Lightning Rod, clanked. Which it is. Yes to both, Rex. So what we're going to swap here is, rather than Giga Flaring into the double combo, we're going to Judgment Bolt into the double combo. And we're going to see how that feels. So that's on Y. Double combo. Pull this now. You know, since we're here, let's try something. Let's experiment a little bit. So, yeah, we'll mess with this on our next boss. No, you're fine, Akolitos. I don't mind suggestions. And it's not like you're doing it to be a dick. Unless... I actually know a few people, I think I mentioned this, who play this game and pretty much just play with Ifrit and
Really
Phoenix.
could have mentioned his
And just
spiders would be
focus
the
on
size
that a
of
lot.
Carl's.
Well, there's already something for Odin I want to try out once we get that. There's another build I've read for Shiva, which I'm not sure I want to try out, but we'll try it out. I want to experiment. That's why I left Bahamut on for so long, because I wanted to give it a fair shake. Yeah, I'm not doing a very good job of reviewing this if I'm not trying every weapon I have, you know what I mean?
It's over.
Hopefully one will be enough.
Ugh, that's just irritating, Era. If I ask you to glance over my talents, that's different. I'm asking for help. If you just volunteer, hey, your talents suck, that's just being a dick. It's WoW. The number of acceptable and worthwhile builds is staggering in WoW, especially right now. Hell, some builds work best when compared with, or when paired and combined with other builds.
Mummy, are the bad men going to come back?
The gentlemen of the town guard are a scrappy bunch.
Hi.
Good day, my lord.
Yeah, cool. Listen. Give me your stuff.
An excellent choice.
Thank you.
Thank you for your...
Back over here.
Kicked out already?
No. This charmer ain't letting anyone through.
Why are the gates closed?
Chief's orders. No one's allowed in without his say-so. Not that I'd have let you in anyway. You look like trouble. I suggest you go home.
That's what I'm trying to do, you little prick. Ain't changed a bit, have you, Snotty?
No. It isn't. Blackthorn.
Long time no see, eh?
What the hell are you doing here?
Well, it was meant to be a surprise, but since you are so nicely, I'm here to see Zoltan, you fucking numbskull. Now let us through.
All right. Just don't go starting anything with the chief.
Yeah, honestly.
Promise I won't throw the first punch. That good enough for you?
And honestly, ever since I got the Berserker ring, I've fallen in love with dodging.
Go on then.
Dodging's kind of something I'm good at anyways. I can do parry gameplay. I've played Sekiro and I love Royal Guard. But that ring is just so good. Actually, I have Shadow Machine. In fact, it's already on DoorDash.
So this is Dravaged. Not much going on, is there?
It's a smithing town. When I was a lad, you'd have to shout to be heard over the sound of hammer on anvil. Clive, you're good with people. You speak to Zoltan.
Hey, you ain't backing out now, are you?
There's a river of bad blood between me and the chief. But if someone can build me a bridge, then I'll cross it.
All right. I'll see what I can do.
I appreciate it. It'll be near the forge on the hill. It was our master's. He'd have inherited it when I left.
The forge on the hill?
Good luck. You'll be needing it.
But if we can't fire the forges, how are we going to earn our keep?
Shut your hole. The chief will think of something.
Narrator. The chief did not think of anything.
Mama, why hasn't Papa come back yet?
He's helping the chief with something very important. You go back inside now.
I've got an idea. Let's summon a demon! Oh, absolutely, little one.
Hotter! Hotter, damn it! Those miserable flames wouldn't melt butter, let alone iron.
Pardon the intrusion. I'm looking for the chief.
That'd be me.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
I'll bet it is. Keep the gates closed, I tell him. Well done, Snotty.
You're not welcome here. Get out. Before things turn nasty.
Blackthorn's here.
What did you say?
He's traveled a long way to see you.
Yes, has he?
He's waiting. Down by the gates.
Also, do me a favor and stop literally torturing your bearers to death to ignite the forge. Could you do that for me, please? Thanks.
Then I suggest you take him with you when you leave.
Didn't you apprentice together?
So what if we did?
Fuck! We're getting nowhere. These bearers' flames are next to bloody useless.
We're never going to be able to fire up the forges unless we can find some new crystals.
Crystals don't work anymore.
I'm a busy man, as you can see, so do me a favor and piss off. Oh, and if you're struggling to find your way out, ask Blackthorn. That prick knows exactly where the exit is. He's not wanted here. And neither are you.
All right. I'm going.
Okay, for real, are we just gonna let him keep enslaving those people? Is that just what we're doing? Really?
Please, Chief, you've got to do something. If this keeps up, we'll be ruined.
Okay. I turn to the GM. I roll initiative. Whatever.
Mama, why hasn't Papa come back yet?
But if we can't fire the forges, how are we going to earn our keep?
Shut your...
Let me guess. Zoltan told you to piss off.
As a personal favor to him, yes.
I mean, maybe we could at least clarify that they're not slaves before we just leave.
Well, at least he didn't beat about the bush.
There'll be no talking him round. Not after what I did.
Which is what exactly? If we're to help, we need to know. What turned the village against you?
I left. Dravozd. Zoltan. The burden of leadership our dying master dropped in our laps. All of it.
So you're Sabin.
Two kinds of smiths in this world, you see. My kind, who are in it for the love of the craft, who labour on a single piece from dawn to dusk to get it just right. And the other kind, who are in it for different reasons. People like Zoltan, whose work is quick and cheap. The kind of smiths who shit out a few hundred blades, reap the profit, and divvy it out among themselves. There wasn't a single day we weren't at each other's throats. And bit by bit, people started taking sides. You would have torn Dravozd in half had it gone on. So, I left.
You didn't have to do that.
Zoltan's a better chief than I would have been. His way of doing things kept food on people's tables. Dravozd prospered without me and my lofty ideals getting in the road. Until the crystals run out at any rate. Without magic to fire the furnaces, this place is as good as dead.
It depends on how you look at it, though. There's got to be other ways of making fire. We manage it in the Deadlands.
Thanks to Sid's ingenuity, yeah. He saw all of this coming, knew crystals were the problem, not the solution, and spent years coming up with ways of doing without.
You know what I mean, though, right? Where there's a will, there's a way. What I'm trying to say is that it's not your fault. You couldn't have predicted this.
It doesn't matter whose fault it is. I don't want to be the greatest smith alive just because I happen to be the last. Clive. Dravozd won't last long without its furnaces. So, do you think it's time we shared Sid's bellows with the world? The way I see it, it's your decision to make.
Hold on, Blackthorn. Sid made those things for us. They give us an edge over the rest. And you'd be throwing it away.
All right. Do it. This place was your home. I won't abandon it to its fate. Sid's creations were never meant to be hoarded. It was only ever a matter of time before we shared them. Let this be another step on the road to freeing Valisthea from the prison of the Crystal's blessing. Dravozd will show the world that it's possible. Wouldn't you agree, August?
When you put it that way, of course. As like hearing Sid speak from beyond the grave.
Thank
Not dead yet, Jesus.
Shall I go and fetch the plans then?
I know I'm off by heart. I'll be needing some help though. Building a furnace isn't exactly a one-man job. Do us a favour and round up anyone strong enough to lug a brick or two with you, August.
All right then.
And I've got a job for you too, Clive. Finding me some salamander skin. I need leather for the bellows and nothing else will withstand the heat. Luckily for us, salamanders feed out in the fields of Carava.
Time for a spot of hunting, then.
I mean, I mentioned this earlier, Pancakes. There's some indications, possibly read too much into, that these people's general knowledge of even just architecture isn't very good. Thank you off the deeper end. I do appreciate your support and your kind words. Not sure I deserve them, to be honest with you, but I still appreciate it. Thank you. As usual, if you do want to put that towards up to 3 upcoming games, genres, or dealer's choices, let me know. Oh, there it is. So, Doom the Dark Ages and Silent Hill 2. Excuse me. Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, Braywen. We were talking about Bleak, right? How many of you seen Wall-E, the film? It's a Pixar flick. It's kind of adorable, but that's not really the reason I bring it up. Wall-E is a perfect example of a movie that should be incredibly bleak, and yet isn't. It is telling that the person who says the line, "I don't want to survive, I want to live," is one of those lazy, flat, slovenly people who has nothing to do with his life. In fact, it's an interesting character point that they go out of their way to make him not one of the antagonists, even thematically, but instead to be the kind of person who actively wants to do more with his life because he is bored with just surviving, just waking up in the morning, doing his thing, and then going back to sleep. Yeah, he's another victim of the whole process. It would have been relatively easy for them to turn him into part of the problem, and instead,
Let's make this quick,
he's
shall
part
we?
of the solution. And that's some of the kinds of things that movie does to try and make it a lot less horrible than it otherwise would be. Because that should be a really depressing film. Oh yeah, all the people who made the mistakes in Wall-E are dead and gone, and have been for a long time. There we go.
Nice try.
That's true, the shovel was a very groundbreaking invention.
Too slow.
Oh god, President Jackass.
Nice try.
The only live-action actor in that film, and he's the villain. I don't know if that's on purpose or not, but it is amusing to think about. Okay, so let's try this out, shall we? So we do this, 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 right up in melee. And then we do this, this, and that was 59,000 damage. Now that was an enemy with less defenses, but, you know. Oh yeah, even the AI is just kind of a victim. I don't have a better word for it, of the whole thing.
I dare say that would be enough for a decent set of bellows.
So, everything I just did is what I did with Gigaflare, but to talk it out in full. So, get it down to stagger. Okay, it's staggered. Switch over here. Get on the Will of the Wicks, which is here. Switch over here. Pop down the lightning rod. Oh, closer to like 39 to 42 on average. Sorry. Wasn't sure what you were asking. And that's why, because I noticed before I started using Gigaflare, I was doing a bit more damage with the Ramu stuff. But I think I know why. Because again, Gigaflare is really, really good. Yeah, it's multi-target, it has lower cooldown, so it can be used in multiple stagger cycles. Whereas the Ramuh thing, like, that's still not off cooldown now. Also, because it takes so much less time to do Ramuh's thing, I can also do this. And that last hit at the end of that is actually a pretty chonky hit. But I still think this overall setup works better, especially because the whole goal is to shred their health bar as much as possible in one go. So we're going to try this for a while. I do think adding in upheaval is a good idea. We're gonna play with that for a bit, at least until we get Shiva and or Odin, whichever one comes next.
What's this all about then?
Dunno.
I'm just playing around at this point, Rax. I have a weird feeling that once Shiva and Odin enter my retinue, Ramuh and Titan are going to leave it, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm anticipating that at this point.
Should be plenty. Right then, time to put these louds to work. If everyone pulls their weight, we'll be finished in no time.
We'll see, Dakota. So far, no.
Well, I'll be damned. I honestly didn't think it'd work. But it's hot enough, all right. And without a single crystal in sight.
It's been a long time since I've studied blacksmithing, but it's worth noting that just lighting a fire will not get it hot enough, so it makes sense that there is some tech involved in, you know, getting a smithy going. It is also extremely damning for just how screwed up this world is that they haven't figured out smithing without crystal tech yet.
You know what this means, don't you? I do, yeah. Dravost is saved.
Sorry about earlier.
Yeah, exactly, Blitzball.
I take back everything I said. That thing you built us is an honest-to-God's marvel. You've saved our village.
It's Blackthorn you should be thanking. He oversaw the construction.
Give this to him, would you?
What is it?
Pit coal cinders. After he left, I spent years trying to eke the most out of our forges. That there was my answer. Chuck it in the fire, and your forge will burn hotter for longer, which will do wonders for your steel. Our secret for yours. Only fair. I've always envied Blackthorn. Since the day I became chief, I spent every spare moment trying to match up to the bastard. No amount of sleepless nights at the Anvil will ever bridge that gap, though. He's a genius. Plain and simple. The man Dravost needed. But he took all his talent and left. Gifted and free. Is it any wonder I hate his guts?
The cinders would mean more coming from you.
I need to forgive him first. And that's not gonna happen.
Good on you, game.
Well, you know what they say. Oriflamme weren't built in a day and all that. These things take time. Especially when they involve two geezers who hold grudges tighter than their hammers. But what matters is, Blackthorn's got that twinkle back in his eye. And I'd call that a job well done.
So would I.
I reckon he's going to be at it a while yet, though, so why don't you head off without us? I'll see that the old git gets home safe and sound.
See that you both do. I'll save the cinders till then.
All right. It'll be a nice little surprise for him.
First of all, I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me about that, Braven. Yep, we're done with all three. There's this thing in fiction. I'm going to be speaking very vaguely because it applies to a lot of different concepts. It's where something big happens, And nobody really acknowledges how big of a deal it is because we've all kind of been, I hate to use the word programmed, biased, dulled to big things happening, right? Because fiction keeps trying to one-up itself and has been doing that for the last, like, 80 years at this point. Yeah, desensitized, that's a great word. Let me use a very specific example. Picture any random shot in any of the Avengers films of, we'll use Thor as an example. He's pretty strong. And he just does this really, really big kind of stuff, right? Now, hang on. Rewind time a few years to the film Blade 2, the Wesley Snipes one. There's actually a fight scene in that. It's actually one of my favorite fight scenes of that particular era of superhero comics, or superhero movies, excuse me, where he's fighting the super vampire. And as part of the fight, one of them takes a punch at the nearby concrete pillar and takes a chunk out of it. The reason I bring that up is that was treated like a huge freaking deal. Like the fact that they were able to bare fist knock a chunk of concrete out was like, holy crap. And it was treated like the big moment. They even did a slowdown of that shot. If you've seen the fight scene, you probably know the instance I'm talking about. Yeah, great fight off the deeper end. Matrix did the same thing. You're absolutely right. And those felt bigger partially because of how well it applied the scale. And yeah, by contrast, Thor held open the forge while being blasted with the heat of a star. What? I bring this up, though. It's not just in terms of, like, big, flashy stuff like that, but it happens in general. For example, I hate you. I hate you. Thing happens, and we're friends again, right? This is what brought it to mind, because these kind of things, a lot of fiction likes to skip over steps or escalate to that kind of logical just end point immediately without considering reality, right? So it's a lot more reasonable for me. It means more for me. Let me put it more accurately. It means more to me to see him be willing to admit, that he was wrong and that he was an ass and give the thing and not forgive him and not go talk to him in person than what would have happened in another game or another show or another book or another movie where he would have walked up and said, "I'm so sorry, Blackthorn. It was always me." And Blackthorn says, "Oh, no, it's okay. We totally forgive each other now." Right? It means more because it is more believable. It means more because it is smaller scale. To me. I don't know how alone I am in that kind of concept. But you see why I relate this to the concrete punch. Compared to most of the more modern superhero movies, that concrete punch is pathetic. And yet I've always remembered that moment of that fight because it had so much more impact than the entire fight in New York in the Avengers. And I should mention, I like the fight in New York in Avengers, right? But when you're officially like throwing bus-sized enemies at buildings, it becomes noise at a certain point. Yeah, bus is probably a little bit too small. Train size? I don't know. Big things. Whoops, that's the negatives. This needs to be positives. I think Tony shouldn't have forgiven Steve. I think Tony should have had no reason to be against Steve to begin with. I think that was fake drama. The only thing I've ever said in defense of that scene was that Tony was very much not in his right of mind. If anything, Tony should have been ashamed of himself. And that's why he refuses to go talk to Steve. Not because he hasn't forgiven Steve, but because he hasn't forgiven himself for losing it like that.
Gentlemen, I see you both made it home in one piece.
Oh, absolutely, Blitz.
Yeah, well, we didn't want to outstay our welcome. The whole village turned out for a go on the bellows after you left. Everyone except Zoltan has. Didn't see hide nor hair of him.
Oh, but that reminds me. I have something for you.
Gameplay, no, I agree with that. But story, absolutely.
Pick old Cinder. How'd you come by this?
No, Endgame needed to be the spectacle, if that's what you're talking about, Loke. Whether I agree with it or not, it needed to be the big flashy finale.
And you're sure he wanted me to have it?
I'm sure. He didn't say so, but I think he wants to forgive you.
Huh. Imagine that. Yeah. You know I could never leave this place, don't you? Every time you put on mail, you and the curse breakers are trusting me with your lives. There's no greater honor for a smith than that. I'm not about to go crawling back to Zoltan for forgiveness, but I will make good use of his Cinder. And if that helps save even a single life, then he'll have my gratitude. What was it you said he called me? Huh? A genius? And he spent sleepless night trying to copy me, did he?
Uh-huh.
Sounds like I better get to work. I've got a reputation to uphold.
It's good to see you back on form, Blackthorn.
I don't know how you pair put up with me sometimes, but I'm grateful all the same. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, about to put Zoltan back in his place.
Ain't got the art to tell him how similar they are. Stubborn bastards.
A little healthy competition should be good for him.
You're not wrong. Still, it's a shame him and Zoltan couldn't let bygones be bygones. No use grumbling about it now, though. Blackthorn's happy. Or as near to happy as he gets. And that's good enough for me.
Probably relatable. So if you're referring to when Tony blows up at Cap in Endgame, no, that scene was exactly what it needed to be. In my opinion. But if you're referring to Infinity War, that was also pretty good, because it was made very clear that, as you just mentioned, he really didn't have any actual lingering resentment there.
He's a surly soaker.
I should mention I'm actually a huge fan of both Infinity War and Endgame, just to be very blunt about that. And I've done an analysis on both films, so I've earned that opinion. They certainly stumble quite a bit. Endgame especially mishandles several aspects of itself pretty badly. But damn.
Sid, I can't help but notice that your satchel is twitching in a most violent manner.
Yeah, about that.
Here. It's your problem now.
What an amazing specimen. The flesh positively throbs with vitality. If I can successfully graft this to the Morganbeards... when I successfully graft this to the Morganbeards, I suspect the results will be immediate. I shall begin at once. It is just as I hoped. Witness how the Morganbeards have taken to the blighted soil. How they bloom with heretofore unseen vigor. Why, I dare say such a vine graft would yield similar results when applied to other specimens as well.
Please stop asking me to hunt more bulls.
Assistance.
You've not only helped us, Sid. You've saved us. Do you recall the extract with which I provided you before? I took a moment to distill some more, but this time with the petals from the invigorated Morganbeards. And would you believe? Its potency has nearly doubled. You must accept this vial as thanks for your assistance. The rest, I shall give to Taya.
Please, sir, can I have some marble? Endgame is kind of a weird one, because I will admit, Infinity War is more or less objectively a better film. But Endgame is in many ways, oh nice, a more enjoyable film to just sit and watch. It especially helps that Endgame is very much about the spectacle and knows it. There's a reason why the most memorable scenes in Endgame is the final battle. Everything about the lead up to, the setup for, then the payoff of, and then the last 30 minutes of them just slugging it out. Personal favorite MCU movie.
If it's knowledge you seek, we've tomes aplenty to guide you in your search.
Yeah, pretty much, Savika. Infinity War was the setup, but Endgame is the payoff. Not just for the duo, but for the MCU. It's one of many reasons why the MCU has fallen off so hard afterwards. And I'm sorry, there's no other way to put that. Like check it out. So, Endgame comes out. Whew, okay, that was awesome. Now what? Spider-Man Far From Home. Okay, it's not a bad film. It's just, huh? Alright, whatever. What's the next one? Black Widow. Okay. Again, kind of a strange film to go to. Okay, what's next? Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Uh-huh. Okay, what's after that? Eternals. Now, I'm not as down on Eternals as other people tend to be, but its position in the timeline is nonsense. And the near total lack of acknowledgement, like the total lack of relevance for it. It might as well be an Elseworld story. Then we have Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay. Yeah, fan service. I'm with that. Kind of its own thing again, but still cool. And then Doctor Strange 2. Which, in my opinion, is the actual worst MCU film of the ones I've seen. And that was just... Huh. Yeah, exactly, Von Falkstein. Part of Widow's point was that she wasn't superhuman, but... It only took them how many years, Pillars says now? Let's see here. How long did that take? That was... It's only taken them 3 years and like 10 movies. Then we have Quantumania. Enough said, honestly. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was solid. I'll give you that. The Marvels, which isn't bad, but is kind of just there. Deadpool and Wolverine, which obviously just came out. Brave New World, which is next year. And then Thunderbolts, which is also next year. And they keep canceling Blade. Anyways. Yeah, Kang was a mistake, in my honest opinion. I stand by that.
Thank goodness you're back. Talia looks like she's about to collapse.
Is this what you needed?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Clive. I'm loath to give a patient Alicia, but Talia's right. Sometimes it's all we can do.
One day later, we found a cure!
A single dose dulls even the most agonizing pain, and all other sensation with it. It may be a gentle way to die, but it is death nonetheless. I wish there was another way.
My personal favorite MCU movie is probably Infinity War. But I have to admit I have a very strong soft spot for Ant-Man 2.
How are you feeling?
Light, mid-here. Drifting on waves.
Good. Just relax. Let the waves carry you to a better place.
Thank you, Daya. I'm so proud of you.
Winter Soldier's up there, don't mistake me. I just really liked Ant-Man 2.
He's gone. Thank you, Rodrigo. And you, Clive?
I'll see that he's properly laid to rest.
Yeah, Ant-Man 2 is a very small-scale story which functionally has no villain and is primarily a comedy, while at the same time being well-written and avoiding most of the typical irritating tropes, especially of the MCU at the time. So, yeah, of course I like Ant-Man 2. Go watch my room on it if you want more deets.
The man you helped today was my mentor, back in the Southern Isles, on the front lines of some meaningless war. I was still a child when they shipped me to their triage tents, to treat the wounded with my gift. But in such blighted lands, I was next to useless. Until he taught me the true physicker's art, that is.
An art we would be lost without.
Tears of mercy were his gift to the bearers of the world. A respite from the agony of the curse's end.
And a kindness Sid would have approved of.
You know as well as I what life is like for a bearer soldier. Marched from one battle to the next, never knowing which might be your last. A commander may care nothing for the bearer spent in his service. But my mentor's gift gave the dying one fleeting moment of tranquility before the end. I've no tears left, Clive. I've seen too many of my friends taken. Something needs to change. And we need to be the ones to change it.
And we will. I promise.
I hope so.
I've been knocking over those crystals. Thor 2, in my opinion, and I codified this during the rumination, it's mostly harmless, but it's also rather vacuous. It's just kind of there. I'll probably never rewatch it. But yeah, to answer, who said that? Someone was asking why I hated Ant-Man. Oh god, I've already lost it. Someone mentioned that. But the reason I hated Ant-Man was because of Hank Pym. Hank Pym is not a good person. He's actually better in the MCU, but in the actual comics, he is horrible.
How may I help you today, Clive? You earned this. Come again. I may have more for you.
I mean, Iron Man's kind of the same thing. Tony is not a great person in the comics. Oh. And yeah, Richards is a villain. Richards has been a villain for a long time. Like, that's not even one of those little quiet things that only comic book fans know. No. Reed Richards is a monster. There's a reason in... Well, I shouldn't say that, but I presume there's a reason they keep trying to make Doctor Doom even worse, Victor, is to try and one-up Reed.
Clive, I wanted to give you something for the kindness you showed my mentor.
What's this?
A chest of all the medicines you're ever likely to need. Seeing as you're so reluctant to come to the infirmary, I thought you might as well take a part of the infirmary with you.
I'm sure it will be very helpful indeed. And Taya, try not to work too hard.
And work Rodrigo all the harder, you mean? He's a quick study, but he's got a long way to go yet. I'll take that particular piece of advice when you heed it yourself, thank you very much. Besides, who else is going to see that your brother takes his medicine?
Who indeed?
Yeah, it's this thing called first aid. It's the first aid you give someone. Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you, Ross. Yeah, of course I like the Guardians movies, although I haven't seen the third one. I'm not sure I ever will at this point. Oh, it's just a cosmetic. Okay. No, we haven't seen Yote yet. Not in a while. So, you've heard me talk about bullet point syndrome many times. I think the Guardians films are at least part of why the MCU films as a whole have kind of sucked for a while. Now, hang on. Hear me out. It's the same reason first-person shooters sucked a whole lot after Modern Warfare 1 and 2 came out. It's not really the fault of those games. Those games rock. It's the fact that so many people looked at that and didn't understand why. And so they would just kind of bullet point it. And I do think that the unique tone of the Guardians films is something that many other people have tried and failed miserably in order to try and emulate. There's also a reason why the, oh god, I can't think what it's called. Exactly, Savicom. I mean, again, I think Modern Warfare is one of the better examples of that, for those of you aware of how many Call of Duty clones cropped up in the wake of that. And yeah, Souls-likes is kind of another example, although we've had a couple of good ones, like Jedi Fallen Order. Bathos, right? Yep, nope, Bathos, I'm correct. So the Guardians films are a really, really good usage of Bathos, which you've probably heard too much about because a lot of people have started using it in the last few years to describe MCU films. It's obviously a rather old concept, but it's something that the Guardians films knew how to use, and knew how to use well, and actually did some stuff with. Because part of the point of Bathos is you can't just do that. You have to still have an actual climax, not just anti-climaxes. And the Guardians films are pretty good at having actual climaxes. And that's sort of... Yeah, and you also have to know when to use it and how to use it. So a lot of the films were like, oh man, that's great. And yeah, they absolutely overuse that. Because they look at that and they think, aha, that's the secret, right? That's the formula. So I think James Spader is the only reason I like the Ultron of Avengers 2. That and the fact that he's clearly Tony. Like, if you put his lines of dialogue into the mouth of Tony Stark, you can tell it's Tony. Yeah, the mannerisms, the sentence structure, the ideals, the way he's talking, it is clearly intended to be a Tony too, and that's the point. That's the whole point of that particular Ultron, and James Spader does what he can with him. I will admit I'm not a huge fan of Avengers 2, because Avengers 2 is a very problematic film, but I'm not going to lay that at Spader's feet. Anyways, I'm 15 minutes into my lunch break, so I'm going to go do that.